Thad McFadden standing in the end zone. In front of him, number 4, Michael Jones. They are both excellent. Jones, 31.5 yards average on kickoff returns. Thad McFadden averages 16.5 yards. They line up in that I formation to try to force teams to kick to number 4, Michael Jones, because he is a game breaker. The kicker for Kentucky is an excellent kicker, Joe Worley. He is a freshman from Oakwood, Virginia, and he became the Kentucky kicker at the middle of the year when Jim Ryder, the junior, pulled a groin and has not been able to take over the job. There is the kick. It is going down to number 4, Michael Jones. You see how slippery he can be. To the 29-yard line goes Michael Jones. He was tackled by 13, Gary Sexton. And let's look at the offense now for the University of Wisconsin. They are led by a sophomore quarterback by the name of Mike Howard, number 7. Joe Armentrout, Mark Harrison are the running backs. Harrison is the tailback, and he'll carry the ball most of the time. Pearson, Toon, McFadden, the receivers. Al Toon, number 87, is an all Big Ten receiver, and they expect him to go high in the pro draft, as will number 72, Jeff Dellenbach, the right tackle. He is actually the strong side tackle and will play to the side that Wisconsin wants to run on first down from the 29. Howard carrying it out right away. Sees the excellent Kentucky coverage intended for Al Toon. Howard simply throws the ball away. Let's look at that Kentucky defensive unit. They are makeshift tonight. 4 of the players who normally start for Kentucky are not in there. 3 due to suspension for discipline, 1 due to an injury. The defensive ends are Mazza and Burrell. The 4 down linemen, Dumboldt, Hare, Thompson, and Smith. The linebackers, Urano and Cam Jacobs. Jacobs, a man who they think will have a shot in the pros. And Paul Calhoun is their excellent safety. He was all-conference SEC as a safety this year. For second down 10, this is Wisconsin from the 29. Single setback. It goes to number 23, Armentrout, who gets it across the 40-yard line to the 43-yard line, and the first down for Wisconsin. He was tackled by 92, David Thompson.
You're going to see Jeff Smith take an inside slant there as Kentucky's line is slanting to the left of your screen. Mazza coming down, can't make the tackle, and Armentrout, who we might as well take this time to congratulate him now. He's the proud father of a baby boy. He wanted us to say hi to his wife, Pam, back there in Madison, Wisconsin, as you look at Jerry Claiborne.
Jerry Claiborne has resurrected Kentucky football. Here comes Armentrout again across the 45 to 46. His second carry, Don Urano with the tackle. And Joe Armentrout, who's a junior from Elgin, Illinois, is probably, I would give him the ball early too, because I have a feeling Armentrout is excited being a brand new papa just today.
The young man's a great athlete too. He's all Big Ten in baseball, all Big Ten center fielder. He's got the great hands and is a good blocker.
Armentrout out and 31, Brian Bonner in. Bonner is a big fullback. He is 6'3", 215, wears number 31. This is second down 7, Wisconsin, from their own 46-yard line. Big and powerful. Some people compare them to Florida in the Southeastern Conference. Howard. It is complete to the tight end, Brett Pearson, number 86. Pearson gets inside Kentucky territory to the 45-yard line. First down, and Don Urano makes the tackle. There's the head coach, Dave McClain, from Wisconsin. He, too, has built an excellent football program in Madison.
Well, he's shown he can do that. Both of these coaches have come into programs that are a little bit down, and they kind of turn things around, change the minds of their players, change their expectations. He's put together 4 seasons in a row where Wisconsin has had 7 victories. They're going for number 8 tonight.
Wisconsin lines up 3 receivers split off the top of your screen. A single setback is Armentrout on a first and 10 from the Kentucky 44-yard line. Howard, good protection. Right across the middle, it is complete. That is number 20, Thad McFadden, going out of bounds near the Kentucky 30-yard line. McFadden has 18 catches and 2 touchdowns on the year, and he's one of these excellent wideouts for the Badgers.
They're running this pattern against a straight zone defense. Dragging a receiver, McFadden, shallow across the zone. And now watch these Wisconsin receivers work. You see Armentrout got a block down there. There were a couple of blocks that you couldn't see on the screen. Both these teams have very physical wide receivers. They like to get downfield. They like to make contact with defensive backs.
14-yard reception that time. First and 10 from the 30. Now the back's in an eye for this multiple offense of the Wisconsin Badgers. Long count, maybe an audible from Howard. The 30. It is complete to Al Toon. Toon to the 21.5-yard line. Maurice Douglas with a tackle. Tim, it might be appropriate to point out here, that's close to a first down, that Florida drove on Kentucky like this too, but Kentucky was able to keep them out of the end zone.
Kentucky's defense reminds me of a Rocky movie at the end, where Rocky gets beat around all the time till it gets to the end, and then he kind of gets tough. And that's what Kentucky does inside the 20-yard line. Terry Strock, the defensive coordinator, doesn't feel like he's got the talent in the secondary to play a lot of man coverage and put pressure on the quarterback, so he tries to be patient till he gets down to this end of the field.
Toon and Jones, Toon 87, Jones number 4 up at the top of your screen. Running backs are 31 Bonner and 34 Harrison. This is second down 1. Whistle sounds, 25-second clock expires. I think there will be a delay of the game call, and there is a delay called against Wisconsin. That will be a 5-yard mark-off and will aid Kentucky once again. Kentucky Wildcats, 8-3 this year. And Tim, when you look back 2 years ago, as we take a look at the official.
Legal delay of the game, exceeding the 25-second count against the offense. Second down.
0-10-1, 6-4-1 last year, and here they are 8-3.
You really have to credit some of the seniors on this football team for grabbing a hold of some of those younger folks and convincing them that they can win.
Or Wisconsin, second down 6, back to the 26-yard line now of Kentucky. Jackson and I, and the receivers up to the top of the screen again. Here is Mark Harrison, number 34. He gets only a couple. He is hit by Don Urano, number 39, one of those 2 inside linebackers for Kentucky who play so well, 48 Jacobs and 39 Don Urano. That was Urano's 3rd tackle already in this game, a sophomore from Zanesville, Ohio. They stole him out of Big Ten territory.
Urano's playing for the injured Larry Smith. They lost him early in the year. They tried to put Ron Kramer in there at linebacker. He was a converted quarterback and safety. Urano is the best they have at that other spot against the run.
3rd and 3. Big play for Wisconsin. Incomplete. Kentucky holds again, intended for Michael Jones. So Wisconsin just knifed the ball right down the field, just like we had seen Florida do only about a month ago up in Lexington, Kentucky, but Wisconsin couldn't get it into the end zone.
Bill Dudley, the offensive coordinator for Wisconsin, from this particular formation, when they have Kentucky spread out, they're going to feel like they'll get man-to-man defense, like to get the ball to Michael Jones. He feels like he's their best man-to-man coverage route runner.
Number 5 is Todd Gregory, a freshman from Green Bay. He has kicked 16 field goals this year, an excellent young kicker. This will be a 40-yard attempt off the artificial surface here at Legion Field. It is good. Wisconsin has drawn first blood at Legion Field in Birmingham with 11:32 to go. Quarter number 1. The Wisconsin Badgers 3. The Wildcats from Kentucky, nothing.
450 degrees. That's how hot parts of your car's engine can get, even in ordinary driving.
Watch how heat and stress can break apart your oil's protective molecules. That's motor oil breakdown. STP oil treatment's heat-activated molecules fight motor oil breakdown, fortifying your oil with extra lubricants and anti-wear agents.
Get extra protection. Fight motor oil breakdown with STP oil treatment. STP, your car care company.
Chrysler creates more laser power because the competition is always on our tail, and we intend to keep them there. Even Nissan 300ZX. We boosted turbo power. 0 to 50, Laser XE is faster than ZX. In the slalom, Laser wins again. And Laser XE has advanced electronics, mock cross leather available, and the Chrysler protection plan. Laser XE. The competition is good. We had to be better. Chrysler, the best built, best backed American cars.
For the Badgers, a 49-yard drive, 10 plays, 3.5 minutes of possession, and a 40-yard field goal by freshman Todd Gregory. Wisconsin leads 3-0, and now we're going to have the opportunity to see this Kentucky Wildcat offensive team, and they have a couple of good kick returners back there, too. They are 25 Logan and 33 George Adams. George Adams, 33. Logan is 25. Both of them are excellent returning the ball. Gregory with a kickoff. Coming down to 25, Mark Logan, freshman. Finds the seam, but whammy down he goes. is at the 15-yard line, and that's where the Wildcats will set up play inside their 20. Excellent coverage by the Wisconsin special teams. First player down, number 96, Brad Grabo from Delavan, Wisconsin. And there's the Kentucky offensive team. Ransdell, as Tim likes to call him, the John Wayne Gritty quarterback. Adams and Derry in the backfield. White, Pitts, Phillips, the starters at the wide receiver positions. The offensive line led by center Ken Petroviak and Jim Reichwein, Bob Shirtliff, that left tackle, number 51, also an excellent player. They're not as big as a lot of offensive lines, but they seem to get the job done. Number 4, Cornell Burbage in there also as a receiver right now. Here's Ransdell. He's going to give it to their main man, George Adams. He gets only a couple. He runs off the left side out to about the 18-yard line. And number 95, junior from Madison, Wisconsin, Tim Jordan with the tackle of 33, George Adams. There's the Wisconsin defensive alignment. Darrell Sims, Michael Boykins, and Scott Burgold are the big down linemen. Jordan and Graff, they call them Thunder and Lightning, are the outside linebackers. Melka and Raditz on the inside. Richard Johnson, 29, and Stills are excellent corners. And the safeties, Averick Walker and Russ Belford. Second down 8 from the 18. There's Kentucky in that scramble offensive alignment. Tim will explain that to you in a moment. They go to George Adams again. Adams gets to the 21 and a half, and down he goes. Tackled by Craig Raditz, number 53. We're going to see Kentucky scrambling around on offense a little bit, Tim, before the snap.
No question about it. Bill Ransdell calls a lot of plays from the line of scrimmage, and you may not see the formation change, but one thing you might look for at home is to watch players change positions. You may see Derry and Adams change positions. That time, Derry, the fullback, was lined up in a halfback position. Adams at fullback, and they ran a toss to the weak side. Derry was out in front trying to cut down Rick Graff.
This is third down 4. Very big play for Kentucky, just outside their 20. Double tight ends are 87 White and 81 Lucas. Ransdell scrambling out of that pocket. Throwing on the run. He had nowhere to go. Incomplete. He wanted to find Joe Phillips, but just nothing developing there. And Kentucky will have to punt the ball away as they mix it up a little bit on the sideline. These guys have been partying together all week. And now the tempers are flaring a little. They're serious about this ballgame.
Adams was lined up a little wider than usual, trying to find an open area in the spot. Usually on this play, the man that works his way up open is the tight end. A fellow that used to play for Wisconsin, Stu Voigt, who does the radio for him, but did an excellent job. He and Fran Tarkenton timed up game after game, year after year, doing that.
There's number 26, Paul Calhoun, the punter for Kentucky, and the deep back, the receiver for Wisconsin, is Thad McFadden. He averages about 10.5 yards per punt return, which is excellent. He can certainly break it. He's the wide receiver and a kickoff and punt returner. And remember, Calhoun can pull it down and run with it. He can throw out of this punt formation, and I think he'll punt it deep in his own territory. Doesn't get away a very good one. It's going to go to the up back at the 48-yard line. He shanked it over to the right side, and Wisconsin's going to set up their offense at the 48-yard line of Kentucky. Not a very good punt by Paul Calhoun. And getting up off the ball is their up back who took that punt, Russ Belford. This is Turner Network Television. Kentucky's offensive line trying to get it together on the sidelines.
One thing's certain, that when Wisconsin had 6 weeks off, they're going to give Kentucky a few new looks to start out with. You see Farrell Sheridan doing the talking, Jake Hallams in the white shirt in the background, both offensive line coaches for Jerry Claiborne's Wildcats.
One thing, Jerry Claiborne is known for having excellent coaching staffs. He had them at Virginia Tech. He had them at Maryland. First and 10, Wisconsin. From the 48 of Kentucky, Wisconsin leads 3-0. 9:46 to go first quarter. That pass is complete. And knocked out of bounds at the 31-yard line is tight end Brett Pearson, number 86. A 17-yard pass completion. And Wisconsin moving almost at will against Kentucky.
Mazza at this point in time, a linebacker, is jamming the wide receiver, getting depth with him. The ball is thrown in front. Now he reacts up. Nice job of running by Pearson.
Pearson's not very fast, the coaches say, but he does have 36 receptions. He's tough on the short out routes and inside routes, and he catches the ball well, as you can see. That's how the teams match up there scoring-wise. First and 10, Wisconsin at the 31 of Kentucky. To the 26. You see Mark Harrison wearing number 34, and he tries to run a little bit like his idol, Walter Payton of the Chicago Bears.
Yes, he does. Bill Dudley, the offensive coordinator for Wisconsin, was talking a little bit about that. He said he wears the same kind of mouthpiece, tries to walk like him. and he carries the ball like him. Unfortunately, although Sweetness is a great guy and a fine example for young people, he's not necessarily a fine example of how to carry the football, and the ball has squirted away from Mark Harrison on occasion because of the way he handles it.
Just because Peyton can carry it like the loaf of bread doesn't mean Mark can. Mark's had a great year, though. 611 yards in the last 4 games. Here's Armentrout trying to get some inside yardage, and only about a yard held outside the 25-yard line, tackled by number 79, Jeff Smith, who's playing at that down left tackle position for Kentucky, and that's a key note there. Jeff Smith injured his knee versus Tulane. Jerry Reese, who filled in for him, is hurt here tonight. First time back for Smith.
Kentucky defensively can't afford to get anyone injured. I don't feel they plan to give Jeff Smith a lot of playing time. They wanted to give him kind of a cameo appearance. He's a senior, but he had a great career for him. But it's tough if you haven't played all year to come in a bowl game and go the whole way. But he's being forced to do it right now.
On a 3rd down 4, here's Mark Harrison. He gets it. Loses his helmet, but gets all the way down to the 14-yard line. And a Badgers first down. Barry Alexander with a stop for Kentucky. Some of the 8,000 Wisconsin fans at the Hall of Fame Bowl.
Usually against an even defense, and that means the center is uncovered, teams try to work the middle. That time they're working off tackle, and Ron McBride, the offensive line coach, is really proud of his youngsters up front as you see Harrison try to rip through that tackle.
There's a great shot of how tough it is in the trenches for a little running back. Harrison's only 5'9", 190. First down 10 from the 14-yard line. Wisconsin. Here is Mike Howard. Howard hit as he throws. It's complete to the 4-yard line to Al Toon. Al Toon is the all-Big Ten receiver who had 50 catches on the year, the Wisconsin most valuable player, and he was a 3rd-team All-American according to the Football News. Here's Mike Howard throwing to him.
An excellent job of protection by the Wisconsin line. You see, as a defensive back, all you want to do is make the quarterback hesitate. That time, Maurice Douglas, great coverage on Toon, made the quarterback hesitate, but he had enough time to pull it down and deliver it to Toon as he drew away from Douglas.
And they spot this sticks out, and you see they got the first down by a little more than half the length of that football, just inside the 5-yard line. Wisconsin leading 3-0. 7 minutes, 23 seconds to go in the first quarter from the Hall of Fame Bowl, Legion Field, Birmingham, Alabama. Legion Field, the scene of so many great football games with Alabama and Bear Bryant, and of course also Auburn University, and now for the last 7 years, 8 counting this one, the Hall of Fame Bowl. Proceeds after the expenses are taken out go to the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame for the Scholar Athlete Awards. First and goal from the 4, Wisconsin. Mark Harrison fumbles the ball into the end zone. Who fell on it? If it was Toon, it'll be a touchdown, but he may be spotted down. Remember, the ground can't cause the fumble. That's what the official's saying, that the ball popped out when Harrison hit the ground at about the 3.5-yard line. That's where they'll spot the ball.
Take a look at it again. The toss, but it's designed to go inside. Harrison loses his footing. Looked like the ball was out to me.
Looked like a fumble to me, too.
Al Toon came up with the football anyway. So
fortunate for Kentucky there. Toon would have had it been loose. That would have been a touchdown. So it's 2nd down 3 now. There's that Walter Payton carrying the ball style by Harrison. Here is number 44, Bobby Taylor. He doesn't get anywhere. Oh, these Wildcats are tough inside the 5-yard line. Number 88, Guy Neal, with the stop for the Wildcats. You can see how mean they look. One of the 12,500 Wildcats who've made the trip down from the state of Kentucky. Here's Taylor.
Saw this happen several times against Florida. Taylor might have had it outside there. It's a tough transition to make when you play a team that some of the coaches talked about maybe working outside in short yardage situations instead of up the middle. They felt that Kentucky had that middle bottled up pretty well with their stunts and their blitzes as Jerry Claiborne shouts in encouragement. Well, Jerry coached in the first Hall of Fame game 7 years ago when he was at Maryland.
Howard trying to get out of that pressure, throwing on the run. Touchdown to number 20, Thad McFadden. They had to wait just a moment to see if he had control of the ball inside the end zone. The official signaled that he did, and it's a 9-0 Wisconsin lead, a 3-yard touchdown pass. Mike Howard to Thad McFadden.
Bill Dudley likes to get Mike Howard out of the pocket, rolling on the move, because he's got such good feet and he's a good runner. This time he takes a long time for his receivers to break clear. We really couldn't tell there, but it was a great effort by Thad McFadden to get his foot in bounds.
And the Wisconsin band, which will be performing at halftime along with the Kentucky band on the sideline, excited about this. We're going to have about 60,000 plus here at Legion Field tonight. An excellent turnout with this beautiful weather. It's 64 degrees at the start of the game. Clear skies in Birmingham. Here's Todd Gregory for the point after attempt. Bob Kobza, backup quarterback holding, number 10. And the point after is good. And Wisconsin has taken a 10-0 lead with 5:34 to go in the first quarter. This touchdown came as the result of Kentucky being unable to move the ball and only a 29-yard punt from Paul Calhoun.
Fortunately, Mike Howard threw a great pass to me, and I did a nice outcut, and it was a touchdown.
Tremendous catch. Score 10-0. Back to Bob and Tim.
You may be wondering who that is and what he's wearing. That's our sidekick, Craig Sager, and he is wearing the Midi-Cam. That's a 4-ounce camera being worn on the head of Cable News Network's Craig Sager, who joins us on many of our ball games, and he's going to be showing us some great sideline views in our exclusive Midi-Cam, one of the most up-to-date technical developments in the world of broadcasting.
I thought Lisa gave that to him for Christmas. I thought that's why he was wearing it.
And the kickoff comes down to Mark Logan for Kentucky. Let's see if Logan can get that picket fence. Just needs a seam. There he goes out to the 31-yard line. Excellent kickoff return by Mark Logan, and now Kentucky's got a little breathing room. They had to start at their 15 on the previous drive. A 29-yard kickoff return by Mark Logan. He was tackled by 96 Brad Grabo, and Wisconsin with a 10-0 lead. 5:26 to go, first quarter of play, and the Kentucky Wildcats have been unable to move the football. Ransdell 0 for 1 passing. They have only 8 yards running the ball so far. See what Kentucky does this time with a little bit better field position. That's Joker Joe Phillips, number 8 in motion. And it's complete to Phillips. He goes out of bounds at the 37.5-yard line. Pick up about 6.5 or 7 on that play over the far sideline. And Joe Phillips, the clutch receiver, a senior from Franklin, Kentucky, just a little guy, 5'9", 5'10" in that height range.
And he's another hard-working wide receiver, as you see Chris Derry leading Bill Ransdell to the outside. Just a simple flood pattern, and I think you'll see a little bit more of this on first down than usual. I think against this big Wisconsin defense, Jerry Eisman's going to want to stay out of those second and long situations.
There it is, second down 4 from the 37. George Adams tries to go to the left side. Penetration by Wisconsin. Adams gets nothing. Maybe a yard out to about the 38-yard line. This Wisconsin defensive team led the Big Ten in a lot of defensive categories. And when you start talking about number 99 Graff and 95 Jordan and 29 Johnson and 3 Stills, you're talking about people who are probably going to be professional football players. Graff and Jordan just sophomore juniors, too.
I think they're even sophomores. I think they've got 2 years left, and I think they feel as though they're 2 of the strongest linebackers as a pair in the league.
To Joe Phillips for the first down for Kentucky, their first one of the day, out across the 45 to the 46-yard line from the 3rd down 3, and the Wildcats finally have some field position, trailing 10-0 here in the first quarter of play.
There's Joe Phillips. There's Joe. You talk to Jim Hillis, the defensive coordinator for Wisconsin. The first thing that you want to establish, he says, is you want that other team's offense to respect you. After the game's over, they're going to say that was a bunch of tough dudes that we played. He's down there on the Wisconsin sideline calling the plays in, and he's done an excellent job bringing along these young linebackers.
Slot right formation for the Wildcats. 1st and 10 from the 45. Here's pitch number 22, Mark Higgs. Higgs can break the big ones. You see how fast he gets out there inside Wisconsin territory to the 46-yard line. Only about a yard shy of the first down. Higgs has had runs of 84 yards versus Vanderbilt, 76 versus Rutgers.
Mr. Excitement, Mark Higgs. It's amazing that he's just a true freshman. And probably his biggest asset is when he hits the line of scrimmage, he's full speed. He doesn't have to build any momentum. A couple of steps and he's cooking.
Higgs is just 5'7", 185, freshman from Owensboro. Second down 1. And Kentucky gets the first down to about the 43-yard line by giving it to big George Adams. We were talking about Graff and Jordan being sophomores. They are sophomores, but as they list them with Wisconsin, they list them as junior sophomores, meaning they're redshirts. So class-wise, they're juniors. And playing-wise, that means they've got 2 full years left, and the defensive coaches are mighty happy with the Badgers with that situation with thunder and lightning. There's Ransdell's yearly statistics for 84. 11 interceptions, 11 TDs, and that is a very good statistic in terms of the comparison of touchdowns versus interceptions. Ransdell is one of those guys that gets the job done. You see, he just signaled timeout. He's on the sideline over talking to the Kentucky coaches. Jerry Claiborne in the middle without the hat.
Joe Viadella with the hat. Used to coach at Rhode Island. Jay Callum on his right. Been with Jerry Claiborne for 13 years.
And we'll be right back. This is Turner Network Television. It's been just marvelous. A record-setting 72 degrees today at 64 at game time. Ransdell on first down. It is complete to the 33-yard line to number 87, tight end Oliver White. A 12-yard pickup. White has 17 catches on the year. The offensive captain. He's had a disappointing year, but they say he might be a pro prospect.
This is a naked reverse by Ransdell, a real chance and risk. He might have got a face full of lightning there, but dumped the ball off to Oliver White. And as you mentioned, he's probably the best combination receiver runner that they have at tight end. Had some personal problems this year, really didn't play up to his full potential.
On a first down 10, Kentucky at the 32-yard line of Wisconsin. Badgers leading 10-0, 3:18 to go, first quarter. Ransdell, short drop, quick toss, incomplete. Intended for Cornell Burbage at the 25-yard line.
Well, it's just a pleasure to watch Stills and Johnson break on the ball. They're a couple of well-coached defensive back. Chuck Heater used to be a running back for Michigan as their coach in the secondary, and they're getting there when the ball arrives on those short patterns. They don't give those receivers any room.
Ransdell 3 out of 5 for 26 yards thus far. Rich Ledford, number 82, and it's split in now for Kentucky, along with 87 Oliver White. Running backs are 44 Derry, 33 Adams. Second down 10 for the 32 of Wisconsin. Ransdell hits Adams, he drops it, and they are signaling incomplete. He did not have control of the ball, and that's something you don't see George Adams do very often. He has 33 catches on the year and is the leading receiver for Kentucky. That would have been a substantial gainer, too.
George Adams had been a major part of Kentucky's offense, and his stock, as far as the NFL is concerned, has really gone up this year. Just took his eye off the ball before he tucked it away. But all year long, he's been a powerhouse, and he's been a real leader. Everybody on that team loves him. They're not jealous of his publicity or of his status in college football. They love to see him become successful. He's got a great relationship with all his offensive linemen.
From the 32-yard line of Wisconsin, third down 10. Goes right back to Adams. He dives forward to the 26. He's going to be 3 or 4 yards shy of the first down, but it will put Kentucky within field goal range. About 43-yard field goal range. As we look at a replay here, the kicking team comes onto the field.
Watch the secondary. Kind of too deep, playing a little man. That one linebacker saw, I think it was Milka. No, it wasn't. It was Raditz. Craig Raditz chased a man out of his zone, created the open area, and allowed the completion.
There's number 15, Joe Worley, freshman from Oakwood, Virginia. Worley is 7 out of 11 field goal kicking. He had 2 50-yarders versus Vanderbilt. This one's going to be about a 42.5 to 43-yarder. Let's call it a 43-yard attempt. Hit it well, but it's wide to the right, and Kentucky fails to get on the board. Wisconsin continues to lead 10-0 with 2 minutes, 14 seconds to go in the first quarter, and the young freshman doesn't hit the field goal, and certainly, to put it mildly, Wisconsin is lucky to dodge the bullet there. And that's our Midi-Cam view from somewhere. Maybe the head of Craig Sager. And it's going to, of course, go over to Wisconsin at the line of scrimmage, which is out at the 25-yard line. Line of scrimmage from whence the field goal was kicked. And Wisconsin leading 10-0 has the ball, first down 10. They go back on offense. Armin Trout in the backfield, Howard the quarterback, McFadden and Jones, Pearson and Toon, 4 receivers in there right now. And now there's a timeout signaled on the field, and it's going to be charged to the Wisconsin Badgers. I might mention while we have just a moment, as Mike Howard comes to the sideline, that Jeff Van Note, many-time All-Pro center with the Atlanta Falcons and a former University of Kentucky football players, and our balloon with his family tonight as he traveled down to meet a lot of his old Kentucky friends.
Dave McClain is the coach on the left. The man with the gray hair with the phones on, that's Bill Dudley. He's been his offensive coordinator for 8 years. McLean Coach of the Year in the MAC Conference back in 1975. He's done an outstanding job. First coach ever to come to Wisconsin, first new coach ever to come to Wisconsin and start off with a winning season. Came right out of the box with a winner.
He coached with a lot of great coaches, too. People like Bo Schembechler, Pepper Rogers, Woody Hayes. Said he learned football from Schembechler, organization from Pepper Rogers, and discipline from Woody Hayes. That doesn't surprise me.
He's a quarterback in college, too, just like Claiborne. I think they both played quarterback and safety.
Dave McLean, his wife Judy with him here. Tim and I got to know Dave McLean and his wife Judy when we broadcast the Japan Bowl a couple of years ago. They're very fine people, and it was great to get together and see them again. Two of the best coaches in football in this game. Jerry Claiborne from Kentucky, Dave McLean from Wisconsin. First down, 10 Badgers from the 25. 2:14 to go, quarter number 1. 3 receivers split wide to the left side for the Badgers this time. Howard, plenty of time, pops it over the middle, and it's complete to the 31-yard line to number 20, Thad McFadden. With his 3rd catch of the day, including 1 touchdown already. Look at number 72, Jeff Dellenbach.
Dellenbach probably finished the season as the most dominant offensive lineman in the Big Ten. He's all Big Ten, 3rd team All-American, a good drive blocker, a good hustler. And he's going to be a great pass blocker in the pros. They talked about switching him to guard a little bit during this game to get a mismatch, but he was sick, lost about 20 pounds, couldn't work on it.
This is 2nd down 3 from the 32. Mike Howard going upstairs. Tune is open. Can't get it at the 18-yard line. Very good deep coverage by Maurice Douglas, who got over there. It was a little late. Tune could have caught it, but it would have been a spectacular grab.
We're looking at the man, Al Tune. Had a game last year, caught 252 yards worth of passes against Purdue last year. He's their lead dog. He alternated last year. This year he's had to play all the time. This is the first time really that he's been healthy. He's been hampered all year by back injuries, nagging leg injuries. Tremendous leaper, tremendous concentration on the ball, good work habits, fine team player.
3rd down 3 from the 32, Wisconsin. Big guy too, 6'5" is Al Tune. Howard. Right over the middle, incomplete. Wisconsin looking for a flag. However, the official was right there, immediately signaled no interference. The man covering on the play, 48, Cam Jacobs. Mike Howard is, well, has a word or two to say to the officials.
He's a little hot. There you see number 56, Frank Hare, trying to put pressure on Jeff Smith coming around the corner. Cam, being an old defensive guy, may have had a hand on him there. Howard wants to know what's going on.
Well, he has to ask what's going on because he was flat on his face during the action, but he got up as though he saw it. Here's Scott Sapicki, the freshman punter, averages nearly 40 yards a punt, 39.5. Kentucky almost got to that ball. Burbage with the catch, and is swarmed under by Badgers back around the 35-yard line. Kentucky got very good pressure on the punter, Scott Sapicki, but the freshman for St. Louis showed a lot of cool. The tackle was made down there by 84 Brian Hoffman. 31-yard punt. And not much return, and Wisconsin player down on the field. They're going to check him over down there. We have 1:12 to go first quarter. Wisconsin's leading in this ball game, 10-0. They had a long drive of 49 yards on their opening possession. Got a 40-yard field goal out of it, and then Kentucky stalled, couldn't get out from their 15-yard line, had only a 29-yard punt from Paul Calhoun, and that's when Wisconsin drove down and got a 3-yard touchdown pass from Howard to Thad McFadden to take the 10-0 lead, and that's how it stayed. Since then, this game has been played pretty evenly.
Scout, he said he's looking at 15 Wisconsin players.
On the first down 10, Kentucky, George Adams finds the seam near the 50-yard line. Richard Johnson with the tackle. So there's a couple of players who may be bumping into each other in the National Football League in a year or so.
Watch George Rogers. This is their bread and butter. Step to the right. Matt Lucas releasing on the outside to open it up. And there you see Chris Derry working. Gives him a little room, and Rogers heading upfield.
I got a kick out of that, Tim. You said accidentally George Rogers twice, but that's probably a real interesting Freudian slip for George Adams.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because he very well may be a George Rogers type professional runner. To the 48-yard line, that's Mark Logan. I'm sure George Adams won't mind if you call him George Rogers. Adams is going to be playing in the Hula Bowl and the Senior Bowl. And number 29, the man you're looking at there, Richard Johnson, also going to those bowl games, including East-West Shrine Bowl. He has a sculptured body. This man is 6 feet, 195 from Harvey, Illinois. And what a story he is. He has come a long way, both athletically, academically, and as a person. Terrific young man. Second down 8 from the 48. Ransdell. Getting good protection. Can't find anybody. Throws on the run, incomplete. Wanted to get it to Chris Derry, but Ransdell sprinting out of the pocket there, but Jerry Claiborne's receivers just couldn't get open. And this Wisconsin defensive backfield and linebackers can really cover.
And there's a man that understands defense. Jerry Claiborne still holds the record at Kentucky for not the most interceptions in a season. 9.
Matter of fact, that was almost broken this year, as you see the time left in the first quarter, by safety Paul Calhoun, who finished the season with 7, leading the SEC. 9, something else again. On the third down 8, Ransdell under pressure, goes to Adams. Adams loses yardage on the play. Oh, Richard Johnson is there. That's going to be a matchup all night long. You'll be seeing number 29 throughout the night. He plays the run well. He covers the short pass. He covers the long pass, and that's why they think he'll be a number 1 draft choice. That's the end of the first quarter. Wisconsin leading Kentucky 10-0. Average 44.5 per punt. Good enough for 4th in the SEC. Only a 29-yarder his last time out.
He does it all from back there. As you mentioned, he runs, he punts, he passes. This time he kicks it.
Not a very good one again. Very high, but very short. Belford fair catches it at the 22-yard line. That was once again a 29-yarder. I'm sure Paul Calhoun will be disappointed in both of those early game punts because field position is going to play a tremendous role in this game simply because Wisconsin is so big and powerful and can strike so well through the air with their excellent receivers. Kentucky needs to force Wisconsin to go the long way if they're going to stop it.
And that's what they've done so far, with the exception of the short punt. They haven't had any big plays. They've gone for the bomb a couple of times. The secondary's played reasonably well.
It'll be first down 10 from the 22. Out to about the 28-yard line goes Joe Herman-Trout, who's been the workhorse running back. That's his 5th carry of the night for the University of Wisconsin. Jeff Smith with the tackle. We mentioned earlier that his wife Pam had a young baby boy today, but Joe will be trying to run it up in there. He's the fullback and often the single setback when they go to a single setback formation.
And Bill Dudley said he's got the best hands of any running back that he's ever seen. Good receiver.
Now they bring Armentrout out and bring in number 34, Mark Harrison. On second down 4 from the 28, and there's number 34. Darting and diving out to about the 31-yard line. He's very slippery, little, but very slippery. And strong. Bench presses, 400 pounds.
Strongest player, man for man, pound for pound on the team. You know, it's hard for me to watch Wisconsin and see that big W on their helmet without thinking of 1963 and Ron Vanderkellen firing the ball around the Rose Bowl to Pat Richter.
If you can believe it, you just saw a picture of rain. Our weather forecast is for fair skies, 55 degrees, and they've been clear all day. As you watch the run for the first down out to the 36-yard line by Harrison, all of a sudden a front has moved in here to Birmingham. The wind has picked up a little bit, and we've got light rain falling. And I want to tell you, folks, the skies were crystal blue when we came in here. The front has arrived, and the wind is blowing. A cold front's on the way, and some rain has started falling at the Hall of Fame Bowl.
It won't bother any of the players down there. It's still warm, and it's still a nice night to play football.
It didn't bother Chuck Long of Iowa the other night in the Freedom Bowl.
That was incredible.
This pass is complete to Pearson for about 8 or 9 yards out to the 45-yard line on the 1st and 10, a gain of about 9 for Wisconsin. And Mike Howard is really airing it out. He's 8 out of 12 now for nearly 80 yards in the air.
Bill Dudley's really proud of the progress that young man has made. He had the job of replacing Randy Wright. They only lost one offensive player last year, the quarterback Randy Wright. He said Howard had made some sophomore mistakes early, but learned from them and has really come on strong in a stretch drive.
10 TDs, 11 interceptions, 3 for nearly 2,000 yards. He came from Springfield, Illinois. They called him the Springfield Rifle. Here comes that Kentucky blitz. Howard gets it off, and it is complete. at the 45-yard line of Kentucky. Al Toon, nice job of keeping 1 foot in bounds. There's a penalty marker down, by the way, though, back at the 40-yard line. So this play may come back. We'll check on what the penalty signal will be.
I'm sure Mike Howard called this play on the line of scrimmage. Al Toon shifted in to give himself a little bit more room on the sideline. Look at that body control, getting that foot in bounds, but he got holding, I believe.
You are right, Tim Foley. That'll bring the play back, and there'll be a penalty against Wisconsin. Al should probably start practicing getting both feet in bounds in this game as he's senior headed toward pro football.
Right. And this is where Kentucky...
Holding, offense, repeat second down.
This is where Kentucky is in a tough spot. It's a nickel defense situation. As you said earlier, they lost a few defensive backs to suspension during that 4 or 5 weeks when they weren't playing, and now they've got Barry Alexander's in the football game and Carmichael Caldwell, 2 players that haven't played a lot this year.
Second down, 11, Wisconsin from the 35. Rain starting to fall here at the Hall of Fame Bowl. And nobody's prepared for it. The skies were clear when this game started. Hand off to Armentrout, and he falls down on the slippery turf. Armentrout gets to the 39-yard line before he goes down. And, you know, if you have a forecast of possible rain, you bring your umbrella, but there was no such thoughts. And look how slippery it is out there now.
Wilkins heading upfield, Gumball coming around. They're working a little game in there to try to generate a little bit of pressure on Mike Howard. They need to get in his face a little bit. Terry Strock, I'm sure, is a little reluctant to blitz, doesn't want to leave those defensive backs in man-to-man coverage, but I think you'll start seeing him mix it in a little bit more.
This is 3rd and 8. Let's see what the Wisconsin offense does. 4-man rush by Kentucky. Howard in the pocket. What an arm. Intended for Toon at the 32, incomplete. Oh, he can rifle that ball, but he didn't have it on target. Maurice Douglas covered. Pass intended for Al Toon. And Wisconsin will punt the ball away, and it was Kentucky defense getting a little bit tougher here.
Kentucky is man-to-man underneath with 2 deep. You're going to see Gordon Jackson running underneath the man, and here comes Maurice Douglas. The ball is gone, and Maurice just wants to remind Al that he's there.
You always like those hits there, as long as they're legal.
As long as they're close enough. I don't like any of those cheap shots where the ball's way over the guy's head.
That would look close enough.
But intimidation is a weapon that you have to use a little bit as a defensive back. They won't let you hit the offensive receivers hardly anymore.
There's Cornell Burbage with the reception. He signaled fair catch, but it was a very faint signal, and then he was hit after the catch by number 42, Charlie Fawley. But I gotta lean a little bit with Fawley here. Watch Burbage and see if we get much of a real clear signal. It's got to be clear. Oh, that's pretty clear.
It's up there. But you know what? They ought to have an official back there by the receiver, because sometimes as a man covering the punt, you're getting blocked. You're fighting your way off a block when the guy signals for a fair catch. So in that split second, if you're not looking, you don't know. There's a question in your mind. If they had an official standing behind the man that caught the punt, if he considers it a fair catch, let him throw his hand up in the air. And besides that, Burbage was moving backwards anyway.
Dead ball, personal foul against the kicking team. First down.
It was a 41-yard punt, and after the penalty, they moved the ball out here to the 32-yard line. It'll be Kentucky ball, first down. You may chuckle along with us as we experiment. This is an exclusive brand new development in television, though. You mark it down, you'll be seeing a lot of use of that little camera over the years. But right now, the exclusive property of WTBS to use and experiment with. We hope you enjoy as we look at it tonight. Some new television technology. Jordan with the tackle of George Adams on the first down after Adams gets about 4 yards. And the rain is falling pretty hard here in Birmingham now. As you see Jerry Claiborne all covered up. He was wise enough to bring his rain gear. The forecast was for fair skies. Temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. And all of a sudden, wham, bam, and the front moved in. And the temperature's dropping too, I might add. Here is Ransdell to the 40, about 3 yards as he rolls around the left side. Doesn't get much. It'll bring up third down short yardage for Kentucky. Not much snap in that Kentucky offense thus far.
Not yet, but that's not unusual. They haven't really been fast starters. We've seen them a couple of times. Gives us a chance to talk a little bit about Jim Hillis's Wisconsin defense, and they've got some stars in that defense of guys that'll be fine players in the pros up front.
Third down 3, Kentucky from the 40. A pre-snap shifting going on. And the Wildcats, Ransdell finds George Adams for the first down. out to the 46-yard line. Down he goes. Greg Radich with the tackle. And a penalty marker is down on the field.
You're going to see Darrell Sims, number 60, and number 92, Scott Burgle, putting pressure on the quarterback tonight. And they're both big, strong fellows, a lot of speed. Sims had some academic problems last year, sat out, stayed in Madison, loaded milk trucks, stayed in town to work, and came back, and he's played well this year, although he's been injured. He's had a bad ankle, but he's played in pain. And Burgle just kind of was in the program for 3 years, didn't get a chance to play, but has come on strong this year.
There's going to be a clipping call here against Kentucky.
Clipping during the run against the offense. Repeat, third down.
There, I think you can see the clip. We're sorry if we sound a little funny there. We were hearing a lot of directing instructions for our truck. Got a little turned around there. Here we go. On third down and 11, a gain of only a couple with Mark Higgs getting it out there. And Wisconsin, aided by the clipping penalty, able to hold Kentucky, and Kentucky will be punting the ball away. We're going to pause 10 seconds now to allow local stations to identify themselves. There's Paul Calhoun. He's had 2 29-yard punts thus far tonight. A disappointing night for this man who's been averaging 44.5 yards per punt. Got a good one off this time. McFadden at the 22. Tackles. He may be gone. He's got the big speed. It's going to be a foot race. Calhoun, the punter, knocked him out of bounds. No penalty markers are down. Outstanding punt return by Thad McFadden. He broke through that seam. He took it to the outside and got it all the way down.
Number 37, Russ Belfer, gets the first one, enables him to make the catch. A couple of fine blocks, and then it's Thad McFadden. Beats Burbage back as he cuts to the sideline. Maurice Douglas in pursuit. Joker Phillips. Calhoun has the angle, and he's going to cut him off down around the 10-yard line.
A 67-yard punt return by Thad McFadden. We told you that between McFadden and Mike Jones, the punt and kick returner for Wisconsin, were devastating, and you just saw an example. That, by the way, is not a Hall of Fame record. The longest punt return, Gary Anderson of Arkansas, had an 80-yarder back in 1980. But I think Wisconsin will take it. They lead 10-0 with 9:25 to go in the second quarter and have the ball at the 10-yard line of Kentucky.
Coaches Dave Anderson and Scott Seeliger really spend a lot of time setting up schemes for both blocking, extra points, field goals, and punts, and returning kickoffs.
Let's see if that Kentucky defense can tighten up inside the 10-yard line again. They're good down here. Howard under some defensive pressure. Penalty goes down. It's intercepted. And brought out to the 20-yard line, but there is a penalty marker on the play. The man who intercepted the ball was 88 Guy Neal, the linebacker. But let's wait a moment and see what the flag was. The flag is at the 10-yard line.
Wisconsin is in blitz protection. You can see it by the alignment of the backs there. They're not even down in a stance. They're ready to pick up a blitz. Kentucky, however, did not blitz, and Neal was there to make the play.
A lot of discussion on the far sideline. You see the man in the white hat, Famert, is the referee, and looks as though the penalty is going to go against. We'll just wait and see what he says. I thought I was going to say against Wisconsin. Let's hold it for a moment. Offsides, Kentucky. Personal foul, Wisconsin. Offsetting penalties.
There's Toon, tries to get inside. That's what you try to do in the goal line situation, try to break inside. However, Mike Howard did not expect Guy Neal to be sitting in that hole. He expected man-to-man coverage. Maurice Douglas funneled Al Toon inside, and Neal was there to make the play.
Offsides, defense.
Well, We're as confused as you are. Our referee had signaled previously that there was going to be a penalty against Wisconsin. I see. Now he's going to mark off the Wisconsin. He marked off the offside defense. Now here comes the personal foul.
Personal foul.
Wisconsin.
Against the
offensive team. There you go.
I don't know enough.
Well, Tom, it's raining on him down there, so he has to get his act together. But there you saw it. It was a penalty against Wisconsin for personal foul. That's a dead ball foul after the play. So he marked off 5 yards against Kentucky and then 15 yards against Wisconsin for a net of 10 against Wisconsin. It's now 1st and 20 at the 21, and that's the bottom line. Mike Howard completes it again. Hoop to the 13-yard line. Big Brett Pearson. Oh, these are big, tough players from Wisconsin. They're just bouncing some of these smaller Kentucky players off of them every now and then.
Both teams are using almost the same pattern on first down, a flood pattern to the strong side. Pearson works himself away from Stacy Burrell, who's in replacing Brian Williams, and Gordon Jackson gives it an admirable try and knocks him out of bounds.
2nd down 11, the ball out near the 12-yard line, closer to the 12 than the 11 for Wisconsin. They send McFadden and Toon wide to the right side, split backs, and Dave Arneson, number 85, is the tight end. Pro set formation for the Wisconsin Badgers. Here's the handoff to Mark Harrison, hit behind the line, good penetration by number 47, Stacy Burrell, senior from Aliquippa, and he is replacing Brian Williams, the defensive right end who was suspended for disciplinary reasons, playing well tonight.
Well, Burrell used to be a starter, was injured. Mazza took his place on the other side, and he couldn't get his job back. Mazza had played so well. And now Burrell's got a chance as a senior to finish his career as a starter here in the Hall of Fame Bowl, and he was really excited about it.
Kentucky defense playing without 3 of their players, 2 defensive backs, Russell Hairston and Tony Mays, and defensive end Brian Williams were suspended due to disciplinary reasons, and Jerry Reese is injured with pinched nerve, the normal defensive right tackle. 3rd and 11 from the 12. Penalty flags go down again.
I think we might have a delay of game.
In fact, you're right. There's the signal against Wisconsin.
One of the things that Bill Dudley talked about, the offensive coordinator for Wisconsin, was the fact that they hadn't had a lot of that this year, and one of the reasons was that he was on the sideline and he was sending the plays in. They didn't like to check off as much as some of these teams in college do.
Delay of the game, offense, repeat 3rd down.
Because he wasn't excited about changing the blitz protections in a 1-back offense or a 2-back offense. Got a little bit complicated. Mike Howard seems to be calling a lot more of the plays tonight from the line of scrimmage. And I think that's due to the fact that Kentucky's giving him a variety of looks.
3rd down, 16 from the 17 for Wisconsin. Wisconsin having trouble getting it in the end zone after the 67-yard punt return from McFadden. 3 receivers to the right side. Hand off to Armentrout. But he gets only to the 10-yard line, and down he goes. And it'll be a field goal situation here. About a 27-yarder. For freshman Todd Gregory, who has a 40-yarder earlier. This will be 4th down, and in comes Todd Gregory. Wisconsin's leading in the game 10-0 with 7:34 to go in the 2nd quarter. It's been really all Wisconsin. Kentucky did mount 1 drive, but it stalled, and they missed a 43-yard field goal attempt. And that's been about all the offense Kentucky has showed Wisconsin tonight.
Coaches of Wisconsin running backs, if there's any doubt, McLean and Dudley say the same thing. If there's any doubt, take it upfield. That time, if Armentrout might have broken to the sidelines, there was nobody home out there.
And the 27-yarder is good by Todd Gregory. 2 field goals in this game tonight. Wisconsin takes a 13-0 lead with 7:05 to go. Quarter number 2. This is Turner Network Television. Protecting Craig down there. You see, Wisconsin didn't have much of an opportunity after the 67-yard punt return. 4 plays, only 2 yards. A lot of penalty markers down. And Wisconsin had to settle for the 27-yard field goal. So, once again, Kentucky has held the Badgers out of the end zone twice from within the 20-yard line. Here's the kickoff. They're going to down it in the end zone. And Kentucky will bring it out to the 20-yard line as Mark Logan decides not to run it out. And Kentucky will attempt once again to get some offense going. Total yards thus far, Wisconsin 151, Kentucky only 78, and the Badgers lead 13-0.
I think what they're going to try to do is continue to get out of the pocket. We saw Kentucky several times this year, and Ransdell took a beating when he tried to sit back in there and didn't move that launch area around. Give them a moving target because Wisconsin can really come and get you given the chance.
Yeah, they play fake to the back to hold those linebackers and then try to bring it out there to 87 Oliver White. Couldn't catch the ball, and it goes incomplete. They're trying to freeze the linebackers just a bit and throw the pass. Ramsdell goes incomplete. He is only 5 of 11 for only 37 yards in this game.
Well, so far, they really haven't had the ball long enough to establish any pace or any cadence or any routine, any rhythm. And that's going to be the job of that man right there to get something going.
On a second down 10, there's that pre-snap scramble by the Wildcats. They go into a standard pro set formation now with twin setbacks. Ramsdell pops it out to Phillips. And Phillips, about a half a yard short of the first down to the 29.5-yard line. Richard Johnson covering Joker Joe Phillips.
You can see the Joker. He's a senior. He's a leader. Been a great competitor his entire career at Kentucky, a great blocker, physical player, and when they have to have it, they go to him. He's an emotional wide receiver. Joker Joe.
I liked what he said when we were interviewing him prior to the game. It's, what's your favorite pass route? He surprised me. He says, I like to catch him inside over the middle. You don't hear a lot of wide receivers answer that way. He also said his second favorite thing was downfield blocking, and I believe this.
I think he's a defensive back in disguise.
On third down 1. Fumble. Higgs picks it up back there, but a loss on the play of about 5 yards. Well, Kentucky, just as they seem to get it going, seems to be self-destructing thus far in this ball game. But we've seen it before from the Wildcats, and they often get it back together again. So if they can hold on here, they're trailing 13-0 with 6:32 to go in the first half. And once again, in comes their punter, Paul Calhoun. Calhoun not having himself a very good night punting the football. He had 2 29-yard punts and then a 45-yard. But that was returned 67 yards.
One thing you have to be concerned about against a good return team is hang time. And you don't want to kick it too far, really, because you'll outkick your coverage. And that's kind of what happened the last time.
There's a good hang time in this one. And McFadden gets it at the 32-yard line. We have a 42-yard punt that time for Paul Calhoun. Remember, there's an excellent punt blocker on the part of Wisconsin. That's Richard Johnson. We'll watch for him during this game. The rain has stopped, and it looks as though it's clearing up again here in Birmingham. I think I may have mentioned we had fair skies and beautiful weather, and then all of a sudden, right in the middle of the first quarter, we got a rain shower. But now it's winds have calmed again, and the skies look to be pretty clear, and the rain doesn't seem to be falling at the moment. Wisconsin ball, first down 10 from their own 32. Howard has a long time in the pocket looking for Toon, and Toon had to try to cut back inside to get the ball, slipped down at the 30, incomplete. Gordon Jackson is the man who was covering on the play. We talked to Dave McClain, by the way, the head coach at Wisconsin, about the differences between the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference. Thought you'd be interested to hear what he thought about it.
Conference to go for the bigger offensive defensive lineman that can pass protect, rush the passer, those kind of things where they've relied much more on quickness. And it's going to be interesting to see. I'm really concerned about that because they have extremely good quickness, and yet we're very big, but we're not as quick as they are. So that's a big concern of mine.
Second down 10 from the 32. Here's Howard. Gives to Armentrout. Not much going. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. Gain of maybe 1. Mike Bellotta, the left tackle, number 94. Initial stop for Kentucky on the play. Kentucky defense seems to be buckling up here and playing pretty well against Wisconsin. Can't get anything going offensively.
Well, Terry Strock has been alternating some people in there to try to keep them fresh. I don't think that any of those Kentucky defensive linemen can go the whole way and take that abuse and beating that the Wisconsin, big offensive lineman from Wisconsin can dish out. So Shannon's been seeing play, Dumball's been in there, Thompson, Wilkins, Millen, Hare.
Third down 9. Howard goes down, and he threw the ball to his center, to number 51, Dan Turk. He tried to get rid of it as he was really level down there, so we're going to get ineligible receiver on the play. There are 2 penalty markers down, one on the near side and one right at the point of the tackle of Mike Howard, who was really stuck. Great pressure by 96 Dumble. Knocked the breath out of number 7, Mike Howard.
Mike Howard, you see Hare and Wilkins crossing. Dumble comes from the right end, and then Hare really puts it on him. And Dan Turk makes the catch. Now, as an offensive lineman, you can't catch the ball, but Decleater Dan pulled it down and headed upfield.
There's the signal for ineligible receiver as we look at it again. Decleater means knocking you off your cleats, by the way. It's a Wisconsin term.
Yeah, Ron McBride, the offensive line coach for, oh, boy. Too late, Mike. The offensive line coach, Ron McBride, brought that term with him from Utah. A decleater is when you get downfield and knock somebody down. And Dan Turk set the record this year. I think he had 143 throughout the season.
Illegally touching the ball, loss of down, offense, 4th down.
I guarantee you Dan's going to talk to the photographer after the game. Ask him if they got a shot of that.
Scott Sapicki, the freshman punter, comes back in, and he's going to have to punt from inside his 15-yard line. Kentucky will be coming after this ball. You can bet on that. Burbage is back to his 35 to take the punt. See if Kentucky can get some good pressure on the freshman. Not very good, and he got away a long one. Burbage may have a chance for a return, though. Had to catch it over his shoulder. Good coverage by Wisconsin. Burbage down at the 20-yard line. Wisconsin was down there. They had about 7 white jerseys around the ball with 4:58 to go, second quarter. Wisconsin leads in the game 13-0. Wildcat football. Pretty nice weather now after a short rain shower here in Birmingham. From the 20, 1st and 10, Kentucky. There's Ransdell checking off the line of scrimmage.
Here they come, Bob.
He saw that, and he screens it out here and wanted to get it to Derry. It was almost picked off. They like to go to number 44, as Scott Bergold was out there. They like to go to 44 when they have the pressure. He had almost no pass receptions to the middle of the year, and Derry has 19 coming into this game.
Ransdell moves to his right, tries to avoid the pressure. Had Russ Belford coming up the middle on a weak safety blitz. Ransdell had recognized to change the play. Couldn't get the ball to Derry, though.
Now it's 2nd down 10, Kentucky. This Wisconsin defense is tough, folks. They told us that coming into this game.
They're giving them the same look right now. It's the blitz look.
Adams to get a pass when he steps up there. Let's see what happens. Nope, he's going to stay in for protection. And it's incomplete again. They tried to get it to Burbage. Adams stepped up there to try to pick up that blitz, and it's causing some problems for Kentucky. 3rd down 10.
You know what happens is they give them the blitz look, and it's kind of a poker game. And Wisconsin is saying, here we come. They lined up like that. Ransdell changed the play and say we're only kidding, and they drop back to zone coverage and they play the slants, which Kentucky likes to throw against the blitz. So sometimes you just have to go with what's called, even though they're giving you that blitz alignment.
All right, it's 3rd and 10 from the 20. Here's Ransdell. Steps up in there, fires right across the middle, almost intercepted. Penalty marker down in the backfield of Kentucky. And it was almost picked off by 33 Jim Melka. Hit him, as a matter of fact, and he just couldn't hold on to it. Melka had 3 interceptions on the year, but his sidekick at linebacker Craig Radix had 5. So between them, 2 inside linebackers with 8 interceptions is pretty good defensive pass coverage by the inside linebackers. Holding against Kentucky. Well, the Wildcats just can't seem to get it going in the first half. And it's offsetting penalties again. Personal foul, Wisconsin.
You know, the linebackers give Raditz a lot of razzing because he hadn't really played a lot. Had several interceptions last year, and Russ Field got hurt, and Reed was injured, and he was thrown into the Ohio State game and came up with a couple interceptions. Was the SI Defensive Player of the Week. Had 5 over the year, and they call him the garbage man.
Holding, offense.
And Tom is kind of slow here. I want to explain what's happening here. When I say slow, I don't mean he's incredibly slow. I mean he's taking his time. He signaled the holding call against Kentucky, and now he's got a penalty that he's marking off against Wisconsin, and he'll announce it now.
Dead ball, personal foul, defense.
So it's a net 5-yard difference. 10 yards for holding against Kentucky, 15 yards for personal foul against Wisconsin. He marks off the 10, then the 15, thus the net of 5.
Yeah. We're going to get back to the garbage man here for a second after that commercial break for the referee. But it seems like he's always around when the ball is tipped up in the air or dropped on the ground. Raditz is always there for the other fellows to get him.
3rd and 5. Ransdell complete to Phillips. First down, Kentucky. The kind of play Kentucky needed. And as Tim told you a moment ago, when they have to get something going, you can almost count on them either running it with Adams or throwing it to Joe Phillips. 15-yard gain.
Same type of thing they've been doing. This time they've got it against man coverage, though. Rick Graff trying to work upfield to contain Ransdell, but not in time. As Joker Phillips beats Walker to the sideline and takes it upfield.
There's Joe Phillips. Joe has 4 catches on the night for 39 yards. First down 10 from the 40 for Kentucky now. Nice play fake. And once again, George Adams can't hold on to the ball. Wisconsin fought the fake handoff to Adams. Caved in on Ransdell. He had time to throw it, but couldn't hold on to it. Boykins and Sims, good pressure.
Time they'd switched Derry and George Adams around again. Chris Derry is kind of the unsung hero of this Kentucky offense. He one of the best blocking backs in the SEC, and they've discovered him as a pass receiver. As you mentioned earlier, about halfway through the season, he ended up as their 3rd leading pass receiver.
It's second down 10. Had to throw it away. Outstanding coverage by the Wisconsin secondary. Averick Walker was over there, number 2. Mark Wheeler, the man the pass was intended for, but Johnson, Walker, Belford, Stills, and the linebackers doing a very fine job of pass coverage, and it brings up 3rd and 10, and now Ransdell is down to 8 out of 17 for 62 yards.
No team in the Big Ten scored more than 2 touchdowns on this Wisconsin defense. As we mentioned earlier, they finished 2nd in total defense in the Big Ten.
3rd and 10 from the 40-yard line. Kentucky, they trail 13-0 in this game. Ransdell, good time in the pocket. Can't find anybody. Now throws. Very cool under pressure, but he really just threw the ball away.
One thing I'm sure that Jerry Eisman's going to do in the second half for Kentucky is Raditz is working to the strong side tight end on that 2-deep zone, and he is totally losing vision on the quarterback. He's just getting behind that tight end and trailing him, even though it's a zone coverage. Kentucky could run a back out of the backfield and run kind of a circle route, circle him over to the strong side, shallow. That'd be wide open.
At this field position, it is 4th down 10. Calhoun has been known to pass out of this formation, been known to run out of it. It is 4th and 10, however, and he elects to punt the ball away again. That's a good pop on it this time. McFadden at the 23-yard line. Needs a block. Gets it. Ooh, he almost slipped through there again. Down at the 34-yard line. McFadden had a 67-yard return earlier. That was a 37-yard punt that time by Paul Calhoun. Wisconsin will have the football.
I'm sure every time this ball's up in the air and it comes down in the hands of Thad McFadden, Jerry Claiborne's heart rate starts to increase. The shoestring tackler, he's zipping off there again. Got a lot of his teammates working hard to get those blocks. It's nice when you've got a guy that you know can return the ball. Everybody works a little bit harder to make sure that they're in front of their man.
You're in a run back. First down.
And another penalty has been dropped. There have been a host of the yellow flags here in the first half. As you see the plastic covering, the slight rain is falling just a little bit again, but just barely.
Kentucky needs to make something happen. They need to get a big play somehow. Pry it loose from a running back, get an interception, return a punt a long way, block a punt, do something.
Middle to Armentrout, gets across the 20 to the 21-yard line. Gain of about 5. Number 23, Joe Armentrout, a junior from Elgin, Illinois. And the tackle made by Mike Vallata. Only 4 minutes away from halftime here. We'll have both bands at halftime. And Craig Sager has an interesting video presentation for you on the great players that have come out of the University of Wisconsin and from the University of Kentucky. And there have been some beauties. And there's a WTBS banner. By the way, wherever you're watching, whether it's on cable or on a TV station around the country, we hope you're enjoying the telecast tonight on Turner Network Television and on WTBS. Here's the handoff from Harrison. Broke the tackle or 2, short of the first down, though, out to the 23-yard line. Mike Vallata with a tackle again for Kentucky.
Mark, Wisconsin had a similar situation as Auburn. They lost a great running back. They lost Larry Emery, and they converted Mark Harrison, who had originally come to Wisconsin as a tailback, but had been playing fullback in the last 2 years, back to tailback. 611 yards in 4 games. That's how Mark Harrison answered the challenge. So he's done an exceptional job for the Badgers in the stretch.
He had more than 200 yards versus Ohio State and versus Purdue. 3rd down 3. Big play for Kentucky defense here. Let's see how they do. Harrison in front of time.
There it is.
It's picked off by Kentucky. Calhoun. I said Harrison. Of course, I meant Howard. Calhoun with the interception. He had 7 to lead the conference. He's the big play defensive back, and it's going to be Kentucky ball at the 43 of Wisconsin. Just what you were talking about, Tim.
It looked to me like Paul Calhoun kind of came out of his area to make this play, and that's the chance that you have to take as a leader of the defense. You can sit back and play it safe all day long, let him move down the field, but he took an educated guess, Paul Calhoun. A lot of times the interception is just a bad throw or a mistake by a quarterback. That was an excellent play on the ball by Paul Calhoun.
All-conference defensive back this year. He was all-conference punter last year. Ransdell, play fake, throws over the middle, and it's open and complete to Oliver White to the 23-yard line. Kentucky trailing 13-0 with 2:44 to go in the second quarter. The Wildcats, after the interception, are on the march. A 20-yard pass completion.
Same play they've run a couple of times. Little play fake. Their favorite play is giving it to Adams going toward the tight end. That time he comes out there again naked. No guard to block that linebacker. It's fine. Oliver White had pulled up. Instead of taking it across the field, he saw the coverage and pulled up. Good decision, Oliver.
Now they give it to George Adams. Adams slipping through. He gets inside the 20, a gain of about 5 down to the 18-yard line. Craig Raditz with the tackle. Let's watch the junior from Cedarburg, Wisconsin, number 53, Craig Raditz.
Start of the year, Craig Raditz was a third-teamer, playing behind Fields and Reed. Done an exceptional job filling in.
Second down 4 from the 17. Ransdell, Adams. Driving it inside the 15. He's going to be about a yard short of the first down, though, as Melka, the other linebacker, number 33, with a stop that time. That's time remaining in the first half.
The Wisconsin coaches compare George Adams to Keaton Byers very favorably. They say Adams isn't quite as big, but he may have a little bit quicker feet and might be a better receiver.
This telecast is authorized under broadcast rights granted by the Hall of Fame Bowl, is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, or retransmission of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Hall of Fame Bowl and Turner Broadcasting is prohibited. Here's good guy Dave McClain on the sideline. He went into Wisconsin and developed a good recruiting program. Wisconsin, a very tough academic school in the Big Ten. And it's difficult to get the real big good players in, but as you can see, he's done it. And now the Wisconsin fans are up on their feet. They're on the near sideline. There are the Kentucky fans down on the other side cheering on the Big Blues. We've got the red versus the blue here at Legion Field. Big play coming up. It'll be third down 1 at the 14-yard line. Kentucky trailing 13-0.
Saw Jerry Claiborne on the sideline standing next to Vin Redding, one of the assistant coaches. He's been with him for 22 years. One thing you mentioned, Bob, about Claiborne's ability to put together a staff, several of those folks have been with him for more than 15 years. He's kept that group of guys together.
You've got Phillips, number 8, lined up in the backfield. Pressure on Ransdell, but he's getting away. Looking, running now. First down, Bill Ransdell. What a big play by the quarterback. Ransdell under tremendous pressure. He is not known as a scrambler. He'll never call himself Doug Flutie, but he is slippery and he makes the plays. That's why he's the team leader in a big play for Wisconsin. It'll be first down at the 10, and I think the player who's down, as we watch it again, Tim, is number 29, Johnson.
Little play action. He's looking for the tight end to cross. The tight ends were crossing, hoping for man-to-man coverage. Great job of pass defense by Wisconsin. Forced Ransdell out of the pocket. You see Darrell Sims, number 60, reaching. Timmy Jordan trips over him. And finally, it's Johnson that makes the tackle. And it looks like he got a helmet in the ribs.
And Nathaniel Odom Johnson. Here come the Wildcats. It's first and goal inside the 9. They have not scored in this game. 25 is Logan. Touchdown! Logan, who's the sophomore from Lexington.
They're leading the way, and they're excited about this young man, a sophomore. He's got 2 more years with Kentucky. They say he's got a little bit more power than Adams and more speed. Fine job of blocking. by George Adams out in front there. Unselfish team player, throwing his body. Oliver White, a good block, and then a fine job of running by Logan. High stepping his way into the end zone.
Here's the point after attempt by Worley. And it's good. And now it's 13-7, and all of a sudden this game has an entirely different complexion. It had been all Wisconsin, but Kentucky's defense, as they did against Florida, I keep going back to that game, Florida had to kick 6 field goals against Kentucky when they beat them 25-17. Florida moved up and down the field, but the Wildcats held them out of the end zone. Well, it's happened here. Kentucky has 1 touchdown and 2 field goals, and that means just 2 touchdowns away, and Kentucky's back in the game. 13-7, minute 29 to go in the first half.
And what happens to you as a football team, up until now, you just wondered how bad the score was going to be, how bad Kentucky would get whipped. And as a football team, you get lulled to sleep. You think we've got this under control, and all of a sudden, bang, a big play by Paul Calhoun, a couple of nice throws by Randall, and you're down there.
It was interesting, Tim. You were talking about Kentucky needing that big play, and it seems as if the whole story of the season for Kentucky has gone that way. Somebody has come up with the big play to keep them in and to give them victories in a lot of the games. But now we're talking about a Wisconsin team here who on the way to this Hall of Fame Bowl has defeated Ohio State, Michigan State, Purdue, and tied Iowa. So we're talking about a team that's had a lot of pressure, and we'll just see how they respond to this. Now ahead 13-7. There's McFadden, number 20, and number 4 is Michael Jones. Both of them outstanding return men.
During the last 5 games of the year, nobody kicked deep to Wisconsin. I would think that would be a good idea. Keep it away from those 2 rascals, but here we go again.
And it's Jones from the 5. Looking for the seam. Doesn't get it. Out to the 24, and down he goes with a minute 23 to go in the first half. Tackle 27, Maurice Douglas on special teams. And there's a look from our Midgie cam of the Wisconsin sideline.
That's Jim Hillis, the defensive coordinator in the middle. He's been with Dave McClain as a defensive coordinator for 13 years.
And sticking his head in the huddle is our man Craig Sager down here. Craig, just listen to those instructions very carefully. First down, 10, Wisconsin from the 24-yard line now. It is Wisconsin 13, Kentucky 7. Jones to the left side, Toon to the right side. They hand it to Armentrout. He wiggles his way through the line for a first down. And more than a first down to the 46-yard line where he goes out of bounds. He was chased out by Maurice Douglas. A 22-yard run by Armentrout, and he now has 63 yards on the evening.
Well, those boys up front really open it up this time, and Mark Harrison leading through the hole. Turk gets a good block on one side, Oswald on the other side, and here he goes. Maurice Douglas has been around the field tonight. Nice job of coverage. Good tackle there on Joe Armentrout, the new dad.
Armentrout averaged 4.5 yards per carry on the year, but he didn't carry all that much, primarily a blocking fullback. He's getting a lot of work tonight, though. First down 10 from the 47, Wisconsin. Mike Howard, the sophomore quarterback. He hits McFadden. He is hard to bring down. McFadden is down inside Kentucky territory, short of the first down, though, at the 46-yard line. Clock down to 1:04, and you see Kentucky's coach. It looked like the offensive coordinator calling timeout on the sideline.
Bill Dudley on the sideline calling timeout.
Unusual that the offensive coordinator is on the sideline. Most of them up in the press box.
Most of them feel like they get a better view of the field from up in the press box. Bill Dudley feels like it's less confusing. He doesn't have to relay the play down to somebody on the field and then have them send it in. He eliminates one of those steps, and he feels like that's worked better for him. If he's got a question about coverage or fronts, he can always get it from upstairs. He wants to be able to, if things aren't going well, he wants to be able to look Mike Howard right in the eyes and settle him down.
I got a kick out of him saying that. He said he wanted to look at Mike Howard right in the eyes to get his ideas. There's our halftime coming up for you. The Badgers band, they are a great marching band.
Guarantee you.
There's a good view of the eyes of Mike Howard. He's going to be a fine one. From Springfield, Illinois, and they call him the Springfield Rifle. He is a redshirt sophomore. Armentrout again. He is just running wild tonight. Down there at the 37-yard line, Jeff Smith, number 79, with the tackle. And normally it's Mark Harrison, who's the workhorse running back. Tonight it is Joe Armentrout. There's the time remaining in the first half. Wisconsin 13, Kentucky 7. They're going to move the chains, which stops the clock. It'll start again as soon as they set it. Armentrout again. Number 23, the first down. Running like a man celebrating the birth of his new kid. We keep saying that, but this is an unusual performance by Joe Armentrout. He is a dependable, steady running back, but not the kind to get this kind of work on a regular basis.
That's right. He's raising his hand. Coach.
I've been under a lot of stress, Coach. Give me a break here.
Pinch hitter.
And the clock down to 49 seconds as he went out of bounds on the far sideline, got the first down to the 25-yard line of Kentucky. They have moved this ball from the 24-yard line of Wisconsin. Wisconsin just driving after Kentucky scored the touchdown, and Wisconsin now in field goal range, if not touchdown range. Single setback. It's 31 Bonner. Howard, a lot of time to throw. Can't find anybody, and there he goes.
Jones is wide open.
Down he goes, about the 20-yard line. Clock down to 39, 38, and still counting now. Wisconsin does have one timeout remaining if they like to use it.
Chip Garver, excuse me, Bob. Chip Garver is the defensive back coach for Kentucky, and I'm sure his heart had just stopped. They had blown a coverage. Michael Jones was alone in the end zone on that play.
Second down 6. Howard dumps it right over the middle, incomplete. In and out of the hands of Mark Harrison. Should have caught the ball. It was a little high, but Harrison should have caught it. I'm sure he would agree. And it does stop the clock with 18 seconds. Brings up third down 6. Penalty flag is down as we look at it again.
Trying to do here is let that Kentucky zone drop back out of there and just hit this little circle under and give Harrison a chance to knife it upfield. Got to catch the ball first, though.
Officials with their committee meeting down there tonight had a lot of penalty markers. That signal can mean several things, so instead of guessing, we're going to wait until the official marks it off. It can often mean illegal participation, extra man on the field. We'll let Tom Hammer, tonight's official, make the announcement to you.
Illegal participation, 12 men on the field against the defense. First down.
That's what I like about working with a professional like you. You know all those little things. And that can happen. You understand now, Kentucky -4 defenders is substituting in a fashion that they never have before, so a little confusion is not unlikely.
And a big mistake. First and goal from the 10. Howard rolling a lot of time, throwing over the middle. It is complete at the 5. To Toon down at the 3, and the clock to 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5. It stops at 6. It stops at 6 seconds. So now what do? Take the 3 points with the 6 or go ahead and try? They're going to go for the 3. The field goal team coming on. Let's watch 87 Al Toon, all-conference receiver.
All the way across the field being dogged by a Kentucky defender. What concentration on the football. Most receivers would have their heads swiveling in a circle about that time looking for defensive backs because you know you're going to get cracked. But he stayed right in there with it, caught the ball in his hands instead of letting the ball come into his body.
This has been a 73-yard drive thus far by Wisconsin in less than 2 minutes. They have moved the ball very effectively on this drive after Kentucky scored their touchdown following the Calhoun interception and the Mark Logan touchdown run of 9 yards. And there's Todd Gregory. He is the freshman kicker from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Speaking of Green Bay, we saw on the sideline sitting with the Wisconsin folks Bart Starr, who of course went to Alabama, has business interest here in Birmingham, and is at the ball game tonight, but he's sitting down there with some Wisconsin friends. And there's Bart. Oh, what a director. Tom Smith, our director, has him spotted already. Tom, what can I say? I'll buy you a candy bar after the game. Good job. There's Bart Starr. What a great gentleman he is. It's a severe angle from the left hash mark in that close, as you can see. And the 20-yarder is good. 16-7 with 2 seconds remaining in the halftime. So after that touchdown, Wisconsin marched it downfield in just over a minute and got 3 points out of it. But they will kick off to Kentucky. It's not only that they're efficient, but they're a lot of fun to be around. So let's see what Kentucky can do in 2 seconds. Of course, the clock will stop. The clock will start when the ball is touched by the Kentucky players. 2 seconds to attempt to run back. Logan and Adams are back there. Here comes Adams. He's going to throw it back. And this is Oliver White, the tight end. He needs a block. They don't give it to him, but he gets past him anyway. White out to the 43-yard line. He needed one block and just couldn't get it. Oliver White goes down, tripped up by 17, Troy Spencer. A little Kentucky trickery to end the first half. Wisconsin leading the game 16-7, and we'll be back with halftime festivities right after this. Adams back there for Kentucky. One of the coaches for Wisconsin got off the airplane when they landed, had on a flowered shirt and short pants and said, "Show me the beach."
That happened to be Ron McBride.
Here comes Logan. He needs one block. He's got the great speed. Breaks a tackle and goes to the 46-yard line. Big play by Mark Logan for the University of Kentucky. The sophomore running back. 51 yards on the kickoff return, and these Kentucky Wildcats are in business.
One thing that Jerry Claiborne has instilled in these Wildcats from their 0-10-1 year 3 years ago to now is the belief that they can win, and they will keep coming back off the mat. Expect to see that. They're never going to lay down.
On the first down, George Adams, 33, hauled down hard by 60, Darrell Sims. That kickoff return, by the way, is the longest in Hall of Fame Bowl history. The longest had been Ray Hardy from Iowa State in 78 of 49 yards. That one was 51 yards. And that gives me time to thank David Carroll, our statistician in our booth, who has done such a wonderful job all year long handling the statistics for us, along with our spotter, Kim Anderson, who's busy tonight because there have been a lot of players in this ball game. These fellas helped Tim Foley and myself more than we can ever tell you. It's complete. Oh, what a hit. To the 28-yard line. 83 is Eric Pitts. What a courageous reception by that little 5'9" sophomore from Lima, Ohio.
He's going to catch the ball. He's also going to catch some pain. Catch a Wisconsin helmet. Goes up. Beautiful throw by Ransdell. And whammo, Russ Belford hammers it. Pitts hangs on. Beautiful catch there. They call him Quicks. And the reason is he's not got the raw speed, but very quick feet. Good acceleration off the break.
Our sideline cameraman, Wayne Barry, was almost on the field there. Good job, Wayne. Just stay off the field. First down 10 from the 27. Here's Ransdell. Plenty of time. Over the middle. It's complete to Adams. Down to the 11-yard line. The Wildcats have stormed back here to start the second half. Watch George Adams.
Adams is running a little option out of the backfield, the halfback. Raddatz right with him. Loses him, reads back to the quarterback, loses him. Adams slips away, and Milka's got to come over to make the stop. Good heady football.
Looked like a spin move of a center playing out of the high post in basketball.
Also, that time, Ransdell had the time to pull the ball back down and set up again.
First down 10 from the 11-yard line. Wisconsin 16, Kentucky 7. Wildcats driving. First and 10 from the 11.
Higgs is at fullback, Bob. They're having a little trouble with the formation.
Ransdell just keeps the ball. Penalty marker does go down on the play, and Ransdell gets it inside the 10. There's a flag on the far side and the near side.
Too many men in the backfield. They had no split ends and 2 flankers. Doesn't work that way.
Too many men in the backfield was the problem with Kentucky when they threw the touchdown pass against Florida. That would have pulled them to within 2 points of Florida, a 2-point conversion attempt at the end of that ball game. This one a little more obvious.
Right. And folks may wonder why offenses do that. Line up all over the place, scramble around a little bit. What you're trying to do is really dictate defenses. You're trying to get them to...
Illegal formation. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Offense. Repeat. First down.
Trying to get the defense to stay out of complicated man coverages. You want a simple vanilla offense, and when you get so much motion, that's what you usually go to on defense.
So now Kentucky has their work cut out for them. It's first down and 15 from the 16. Here comes 22 Higgs. Nothing happening. He is jammed up, but look at the strength he has. He drives to the 13-yard line. 250-pound Michael Boykins hit him first. Then 235-pound Craig Raddatz hit him again. This Wisconsin team is big and strong, but Higgs showed some drive there, too.
Melka's always around the football, isn't he? He's been their leading tackler for the last 3 years. Came to Wisconsin to erase all of Alan Amici's records. I guess the most heralded high school back to come out of Wisconsin in a long time. They made him an outside linebacker after his freshman year. Didn't like it there, and then they found the spot for him. Hillis brought him along as an inside linebacker. He's going to be a pro linebacker, I imagine.
Second down, 11. Ransdell, plenty of time, looking incomplete at the 5-yard line. Great coverage once again by Wisconsin, intended for the tight end Matt Lucas. It'll bring up 3rd down and 11 from the 12-yard line. Kentucky drove down here. They had a 51-yard kickoff return by Logan, then a couple of excellent plays with Adams. Got them down here knocking on the door, but a penalty set them back and made it really tough for them.
You notice Claiborne putting on the headphones. He wants to know what's being called. He wants to know what's going on offense. If he's got something he wants, he gets it in there. He'll overrule the call by Jerry Eisner.
Nickelback defense for Wisconsin now. 3rd down, 11. Kentucky from the 12. Phillips in motion. Ransdell to Joe Phillips to the 5. It's going to be short, of course, of the 1st down. He had to get to the 1-yard line. Craig Raditz with the tackle. So here's Kentucky with a 4th down and about 4 from the 5-yard line. And they're sending on the kicker.
Excuse me, here's old Joker Joe in the middle. They say when they have to have it, they don't run that play much, but they'll get Joe Phillips in the middle of the field because he's got the good concentration on the ball, and he protects it, makes the catch. We saw him take a real shot a few weeks ago against Florida, but hung onto the football for an important grab.
So Joe Worley, the freshman kicker, is in for a field goal attempt. He missed a 43-yarder earlier. This one's going to be about 21 yards. And it's good. And we have a 16-10 football game now. 22-yard field goal officially by Joe Worley. And the blue of Kentucky is coming out here. Young man, you're going to catch your death of pneumonia. 11:28 to go, 3rd quarter. Kentucky is pulled to within 6. Wisconsin 16, Kentucky 10 with 11:28 to go, 3rd quarter. This is the 8th annual Hall of Fame Bowl from Birmingham, Alabama. Bob Neal along with Tim Foley. Hope you're enjoying the ball game. 7 plays, 41 yards, 3.5 minutes, and the 22-yard field goal by the freshman kicker, Joe Worley.
The special teams makes a big contribution. In the 1st half, they contributed to the problem that Kentucky was having. In the 2nd half, they start out by helping.
Here's this man, Mike Jones. 31.5 yards per kickoff return he averages. Didn't get out there this time. Down at the 21-yard line. Tackled by 13, Gary Sexton.
I'm sorry.
Jerry's going to have to try to get his patchwork defense to see if they can stop Wisconsin here. Better field position for them this time.
The one thing you can say about Jerry Claiborne, there's no question about it. If he's got a rule and you break it, no matter who you are, you bought the consequences. If it's suspension, if it's running, no matter what it is, no matter who you are, you're going to pay the price. I think that's good.
And that happened to 3 of the young men on the Kentucky team between the last regular game and the defensive team, the last regular game and this bowl game. It hurt Kentucky, no question about it. Armin Trout continues to run well. He gets about 9 yards on that carry as number 23 out to the 31-yard line. And Armin Trout has 95 yards on the night.
Here's Al Toon. And look at this. A wide receiver working against a linebacker, Stacy Burrell. Al Toon gets him on the ground. Burrell hustles to get back in the play, but that's the kind of team competitor that Al Toon is. A lot of wide receivers would just trot down the field and try to look inconspicuous and get out of the view of the camera.
There's the quarterbacks. Sophomore Mike Howard hands it to Mark Harrison on 3rd down short yardage, and he drives all the way out near the 40-yard line on the 2nd down 1. Gain of about 8 yards by Mark Harrison, the little tailback from Columbus, Ohio.
It has to be a little discouraging for folks like David Thompson, defensive lineman for Kentucky's kind of a diminutive fellow as far as the linebacker goes, and week after week he sees coming to the line of scrimmage these guys big enough to kick. They look like they're big enough to kickstart a 747, and he's got to take them on week after week, play after play.
Kickstart the 747. Sounds tough. 1st down 10 from the 39-yard line. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Howard in a passing formation. And he has Mike Jones wide open. Jones to the 30. Tackled from behind by Stacy Burrell. But Jones was just all alone down the sideline.
Mike Jones, as we've mentioned, the best man-to-man receiver that Wisconsin has, found a soft spot in the zone, caught it 3 or 4 times, finally put it away before Stacy Burrell got there to throw him to the turf.
So that was Michael Jones' second, third, and fourth catch of the night. Actually, it was Michale Jones' first catch, a 30-yarder of the evening. First down 10 Wisconsin at the 31 of Kentucky. Here's Mark Harrison, who gets a yard and a half, about a yard and a half, no more. Frank Hare with the tackle. Mark Harrison, by the way, asked us to point out that his first name is spelled with a C.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
M-A-R-C-K. There's that young man whose idol is Walter Payton, as we pointed out in the first half. He wears his number, walks like him, sometimes runs like him, and is a senior from Columbus, Ohio. This will be second down 9 from the 30-yard line. Wisconsin 16, Kentucky 10. Howard. Boy, he airs it out nicely. Overthrows Michael Jones. Really like the snap on the ball from Mike Howard. They call him the Springfield Rifle as he comes out of Springfield, Illinois, and he does have one of those pure tight spiral arms, whip arms.
Bill Dudley was saying he's really farther along than Randy White was at the same time. Awfully disappointed in that throw. He had too much power behind that one because Jones had found an open area in that zone. That could have been a touchdown.
Howard on the night has thrown for 133 yards, 12 out of 21, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 3rd and 9 from the 30. Here's Mark Harrison. And he's brought down at the 23 by Cam Jacobs, a senior from Coral Gables, Florida. Cam's 4th tackle of the night. He's the leading team tackler for the Kentucky Wildcats, and that young man has professional football hopes.
Well, and we've seen him play well. He was a defensive end for 2 years at 220 pounds simply because they had no one else to line up there. Finally got up to a position that he should have been in all along, linebacker. They moved him from left linebacker to right linebacker. That guy's cord is always plugged into the energy socket.
40-yard field goal attempt by Todd Gregory is good, and Wisconsin has found themselves a fine young field goal kicker. His 4th of the night. Set a Wisconsin record for number of field goals in a season with 16 regular. He has 20 now. This is Turner Network Television. Hall of Fame inductees who were here tonight, inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. They are great players, and we've spent some time with them while we've been in Birmingham, and I might add also that they're great gentlemen. They have their wives with them, and just wonderful folks. It's been a pleasure getting to know them. Adams with problems at the 2-yard line.
Why didn't they make that ball round, Mama? Frustrating. Sometimes you anticipate a hop by that ball. It's hard to do since it's an oblong sphere, and it just bounced away from him. Now he's got a problem. He does the smart thing. A player with less experience might have tried to pick it up, scooped it back into the end zone. He got on the ball. At least they've got possession of the football.
1st and 10 from the Kentucky 2-yard line, and boy, does Wisconsin like to play defense down here. Adams to the 5. I might mention that George Adams, who has been a kickoff returner for Kentucky all year long, is not a pure kickoff returner. They put him back there because normally he does have very good hands, and he's a smart player. But I'm sure that Kentucky would rather not have him, and the fact is that they need Adams and Logan back there. Kentucky player down is 71, Brad Myers, a freshman.
And Brad Myers is playing for Joe Prince, who's an outstanding guard that Kentucky had injured his knee. They start to get a little thin after that. Dermonti Dawson will probably come into the game at center, I would suppose, and they'll move Petroviak over to guard.
We'll try to get a report on the status of the injury to that young man, the left guard for Kentucky. We'll also see who's in it. It is Dermonti Dawson, as Tim pointed out. He's gone into center, and Petroviak has moved over. 2nd down 7. Trying to run out of their own end zone. Out to the 6-yard line goes George Adams. Ken Petroviak, who's moved over now. The normal center is from Crafton, Wisconsin, by the way. And they call him the Apple. Ken Petroviak, number 66, you see there on the right side of your screen. Petroviak is called the Apple because...
I was waiting for that.
I'll bet you know why.
No, I really don't, and I was going to say, okay, Bob, why do they call him the Apple?
Because he plays so smart and so consistently, they say he's like a computer. And And he's still playing center, by the way. Dermontti Dawson is playing guard. Here's George Adams. He drives out there close to the first down as Kentucky just hammering it, running it on the ground against this very tough Wisconsin defensive line and doing a pretty good job. Let's look at it from out of the backfield.
George Adams picking his way. He's got great vision as a running back, and that's important. The ability to sense and feel and find the hole. He was dragged to the ground by, looked like Bergold yanked him down.
That's one of the bigger first downs of the night for Kentucky. It won't go down on the highlight reel. You can bet on that. But it was first down 10 from the Kentucky 2-yard line. They have it out to about the 13 now with a first down and getting a little bit of breathing space. Kentucky trailing by 9, 19-10, 7:35 to go, third quarter. Here's Ransdell. Now he feels confident enough to throw. Screens left side, and down goes Mark Logan. Matter of fact, if the ball had been slower getting there, it would have been goal lines and headlines for number 3, Ken Stills, the left side cornerback. By the way, we've been talking about 29 Richard Johnson. Number 29 you see in your picture right now. Ken Stills is an excellent football player also.
He's a junior college transfer. He came in with a couple of bad habits. Looked back in at the quarterback a little bit too much. Was used to playing more man-to-man than the zone that Wisconsin plays, but really has worked himself into some good habits and has become a real prospect as a defensive back.
Second down 13, Phillips in motion. Ransdell under pressure, safety. Scott Bergold, 6'7", 260 pounds from Waukesha, Wisconsin. Now hold it, there's a penalty marker down. So let's not count the 2 points yet. Wisconsin very pleased with themselves, though. They just poured in on Ransdell.
As we mentioned, Bergold has really come along this year, really developed as a football player. 4 sacks coming into this game, 9 tackles for loss. I bet he used to go skiing up there on Rib Mountain in Wausau.
And it's nullified by a face mask call, as you see the signal from Tom Thammert, the official.
Let's watch it again. You see Rick Kraft working upfield against Vernon Johnson, number 76. And there comes Bergold. We didn't really show the face mask.
They called non-flagrant, only a 5-yard penalty. Second down 8 now. Ransdell under pressure again, tries to throw it out to the safety valve on the left side. Chris Derry can't complete it. It'll be third down 8 from the 15, but at least Kentucky dodges the bullet of the safety by Bergold. We were talking about number 92, the defensive right tackle. I enjoyed the story that coaches told us, as you look at Dave McClain there, about watching the players when they were showing their physical strengths. And he says Bergold comes in, he's 6'7", 260. He's so tall that when they do the pull-ups to test their pull-up upper body strength, he had to bend his knees. And as the coach told us, he does 18 quick pull-ups and says, is that enough, coach?
As a freshman he did that. Isn't that amazing?
18. Ransdell with time, but nobody there. Almost got it to Joe Phillips out at the 30. Under pressure, and Ransdell starting to get hammered here. He's getting good pressure on every play. He gets a little time, gets out of the pocket, but then he can't seem to find the receiver, and by then here comes Bergold and Sims. You see the coverage.
Well, that's Kentucky's best against Wisconsin's best. And look at Joker Phillips continue to work. This is a real problem for a defensive back. You cover the first 2 moves, but then if you have a receiver like Phillips that continues to move and work back toward the quarterback, it provides some real problems for you. That time Ransdell overthrew it a little bit.
Calhoun from his goal line. Good field level view there, and Calhoun hits an artillery shot out here to McFadden. Fair catch at 41. That's where it'll be. Wisconsin football leading 19-10, 6:17 to go, third quarter, from Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. Temperature about 55 degrees. The light rain has stopped. A pleasant night for football.
Well, Chris, you dodged the bullet there. You almost gave up a safety, but you got to get the offense moving.
Yeah, we need to be more productive in our offense. We're just making minor mistakes. We're driving the ball on them. We feel we can drive the ball. We can run it and pass it. But we're just making a few minor mistakes that are just costing us a lot of points.
Well, Kentucky trailing 19-10, but still very much in the game. Back to Bob and Tim.
Thank you, Craig Sager. Chris Derry, a junior. They say that he looks like he has some pro potential when he graduates, but he'll have another year at the University of Wisconsin. There you see the big red. That's our TBS crew down there celebrating before the game's over. Actually, Actually, a lot of people watching from Wisconsin will probably think those fellas have painted their bodies, but they came out of a cold winter. They've been out in the sunshine down here. And on the first down and 10, not much going for Wisconsin. Look at that Kentucky defense swarm all around Joe Armentrout. They have certainly, he has gotten their attention, I might add, put it that way.
Armentrout a little slow getting up. He's limping to the sidelines now. Dave McLean said if he gets the run going, he likes to keep it on the ground. If he can move it on the ground, keep it on the ground. And I think that's probably in that Woody Hayes vein and Bo Schembechler vein, less risk. But Wisconsin has got the pop on a second and long situation like this, or even third and possession, go for the bomb. They've got Jones, McFadden, and Toombs, so don't be surprised to see that.
Here's Howard throwing under pressure, and it's complete again to the big tight end, Brett Pearson. All 245 pounds of it. Penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage in the Wisconsin backfield. It is going to be holding probably. It is holding against Wisconsin, nullifying about a 7-yard pass completion. Wisconsin gets penalized again. There have been a host of yellow flags in this football game.
Frank Hare was doing a nice job working his way upfield, and looked like somebody yanked him to the ground.
Tom Thammert, our deliberate official tonight. He's taking his time, making no mistakes, but is keeping us here until 1986. 5:27 to go, third quarter, 19-10, Wisconsin leading.
Holding, offense, repeat, second down.
Keep your eye on number 56. Let's see if it's there. Wilkins is 74. 56 trying to sneak in that crack there. 67 is Milky. Hare going down. I think they might have yanked him down a little bit.
Second down 18, Wisconsin now back to their 34-yard line. Pro set formation, split running backs. They are Bonner and Harrison. Here's Howard, plenty of time. Throws to Harrison. Harrison rammed out of bounds at the 42.5-yard line. All he got back was the penalty yardage. Steve Mazza with the tackle, the junior from Cincinnati.
Mazza, Guy Neal was out there. As long as we're talking about good coaching, I think someone you have to mention is Rod Sharpless, who coaches the defensive tackles for Kentucky. He started off the season by losing Jeff Smith, his best player, had to break in Jerry Reese, a freshman, and then also they gave him two fellas that weren't even on scholarship as backup. They both got scholarships before the Jordan game, Shannon and Bellotta.
Third down 9, Wisconsin from the 43. Four-man rush. Howard stands tall in the pocket. Now breaking away, being chased by Hare. Finally brought down by Mazza out by the 50-yard line. And let's see where they spot that. I don't think he got the first down. He's going to be a couple of yards short. He'll have to punt the ball away, and in comes the punter, number 18, Scott Sapicki. Dave McLean, fine gentleman in college football.
Upper Sandusky, Ohio product.
Farm youngster, grew up on a farm. There's Cornell Burbage back to take the punt for Kentucky. Sapicki has averaged 41 yards per punt tonight. He's a freshman from St. Louis, Missouri.
Dan Turk doing the snapping. Probably one of the best in college football as far as speed back to the punter.
Here's Burbage at the 15. Out to about the 17, and down he goes. Tim Foley, I know you were a punt returner in the pros, and I'll tell you, I admired you. I admired anybody that'll catch it when all that beef is running full steam. 4:46 to go. Wisconsin 19, Kentucky 10. No doubt to pro football. Many people think he will be a first-round draft choice, pride of Harvey, Illinois. There's the quarterback comparison for you. 142 yards for Howard. On a first down 10. Kentucky from their 18-yard line. Ransdell completes the pass out to the 23-yard line to 83, Eric Pitts. Gain of about 5.
It was interesting to hear Jim Hillis tell the story about how Richard Johnson ended up at Wisconsin. Hillis was in his home the signing night, and Richard Johnson was sitting there waiting for a call from Bo Schembechler. The call never came. Hillis told Johnson that he needed a geometry course in order to attend Wisconsin. When Hillis got back to him in the summer, Richard Johnson had taken a correspondence course in geometry, qualified to play at Wisconsin, and everybody was happy about it.
And is about to get his degree and got an A in the course, as you recall. That's what amazed me. the 30-yard line with number 25, Mark Logan. So Richard Johnson has not only been playing football, as everybody knows, big-time college football is a full-time job when you're attending school. And I've always admired any youngster who can get a degree in 4 years and play football. All should be getting the degree, but the 4 years is really tough. It involves a lot of summer school and a whole lot of very little downtime, I guess would be the way to say it, Tim.
In all the what you could call star quality players on Wisconsin kind of reflect the attitudes of Dave McClain. Good work ethic. None of them have a big ego. None of them want to be treated any differently. They just get in there and do it.
Ransville throwing under pressure, and it's complete to the 39-yard line. Short of the first down, Joe Phillips with the catch. Ken Stills with the tackle. Stills that other cornerback, number 3, who's the very good one. And Joe Phillips is having himself a good night. That's his 6th catch.
Watch Bill Ransville here. Darrell Sims is right in his face and smacks him to the turf. Joe Phillips coming down, makes the grab before Stills throws him down there.
Stills from Oceanside, California. And there's Phillips from Franklin, Kentucky. He's a passer, too. Remember that pass he threw to George Adams in the Florida game? Says one of his favorite things as a receiver is to block downfield. That wouldn't surprise me. 2nd down 1 from the 39. Timeout called by Ransville. He knows this is a critical position. He, I'm sure, doesn't relish using one of his 3 timeouts. But let's go down on the sideline now to Craig Sager.
Started right in front of me. I'm approaching him now. Joe, so far it's been one heck of a day for you. Where did it all start?
Well, in the beginning, when we started looking at their defense, they play a wide tackle 6. And as far as the game goes, and that opens up the running game. And this morning, I got a call at 5 in the morning.
2nd down 1, Kentucky, from their own 39-yard line. Ransville's going to throw on the 2nd down 1. And he throws it over the outstretched arms of George Adams. All that time out, and we get a quick out pass to George Adams. I was expecting something else there, Tim.
But you never know. I think that was more or less an outlet. Maybe they had something going on downfield. I really didn't see anything developing. And sometimes the discussion there, Bob, is should we go for it or should we just maintain possession of the football? And I think given the strength of Wisconsin's offense, they want to keep the ball as long as they can.
So it's 3rd down and 1, full house backfield. They give to Higgs, who breaks the tackle and gets the first down. Individual effort by the freshman Mark Higgs, driven out of bounds on the far side. They had him pinned up, but a lot of teams have had him pinned up. Vanderbilt had him pinned up in the backfield, and he ran 84 yards for a touchdown to win that game.
Watch number 60, Darrell Sims, break through, beats the block. I don't know if somebody missed him or he beat the block. Wasn't able to bring Higgs down, and Higgs fights his way. Small as he is, fights his way for the first down.
Russ Belfort got all he wanted of little 5'7" Mark Higgs there as he turned the corner. Higgs, also one of these very strong but short running backs. You can't call him little. He's only short. He's very similar to Mark Harrison that way. Very good bench press athlete also. First down 10, Kentucky now from the 44. Ransville scrambling for some time to throw. Still has pressure. Now just tucks it in and drives out to the 48-yard line. Gain of about 4. Averick Walker with the tackle. Did you see 95 Jordan storming after Ransville?
Jordan has great explosion. They slide him down sometime. He's an outside linebacker, Timmy Jordan. They slide him down sometimes into a 3-point stance and takes on a linebacker. Here, Ransville's rolling to the wide side of the field. His receivers need to do a better job of working to find an open area, sliding back against the grain. If you're covered and running toward the sideline, pull up and create some distance between you and that defender.
Kentucky with their scramble before the snap. 2nd down 6 from the 48. Ransville to Derry on the sideline. Out of bounds at the 34.5-yard line of Wisconsin. Craig Radix knocked him out of bounds. They wanted to go to George Adams. He wasn't there, so they got it to Chris Derry, and Chris Derry did an excellent job of getting the first down and 16 yards.
We talk about George Adams' unselfishness. Here he just clears it out. He's got that linebacker running with him man for man. Looks like a mental breakdown as far as Wisconsin goes, and Derry takes it upfield. Still down on the sideline.
Down in front of the Wisconsin bench is number 44, Chris Derry. They're still checking him over. He was hit and looked like maybe his cleats caught on that turf when they slid him out of bounds there. They're looking at him. We don't know what the injury situation is, but you can't see him in your picture. But he's right down there where you see the blue-shirted Kentucky trainers near the 30-yard line. We have 1:42 to go, third quarter. It is Wisconsin 19, Kentucky 10. Wildcats driving to the 34-yard line of Wisconsin. Now Weary's going in at fullback for Kentucky. Number 29, Tom Weary, the junior out of Columbus, Ohio. And they're still working on Chris Derry. They're fundamentally are carrying him off the field there. Looks like a lower leg injury for Chris Derry.
And he has been quite a player all year long. Every time I would watch him on a running play, he'd have his man on the ground. And they didn't really discover him, as we mentioned earlier, until after the Georgia game as a pass receiver.
We understand he has a twisted ankle. First down 10, Kentucky. Ransdell gonna go down. Number 68, Lance Brannaman, the backup nose guard who spells Michael Boykin, blew it right up the middle, a junior from Oak Creek, Wisconsin.
Pitts downfield, working against Kenny Stills, I believe. Not in the picture. It's a zone defense. He's wide open. It's a two-deep zone, but Ransdell doesn't have time to see him as Brannaman's in his face. Brannaman started the first 6 games and probably a little bit better pass rusher than Mike Boykins. Boykins a little bit better against the run as Chris Derry takes it off the field.
Second down 17, Kentucky now after the sack of Ransdell from the 41-yard line of Wisconsin. Phillips goes in motion. Here's Ransdell. As a man open, wham, he goes down. Gain of only about 4, too, and he goes down at the 37-yard line. He threw the ball to Mark Wheeler, the tight end. Averick Walker was covering on the play. Penalty marker in the backfield. I think they're going to get Darrell Sims for roughing the passer. Number 60. Let's watch it again, Tim. Number 60, Sims.
When you get up around that, it looks like he got a forearm in the head. Great hit by Averick Walker. Whenever you get up around the head, you run the risk of having that flag thrown. Darrell Sims certainly was not too late making contact, but the idea is stay away from the face.
This, I think, will be penalty number 11 for Kentucky, and it takes them over 100 yards in penalty yardage. Matter of fact, around 112, 115 yards. They move this ball down to the 27.
Jim Hillis, the defensive coordinator for Wisconsin, talked a lot about an aggressive, reckless defense, but you have to have intelligent recklessness. You have to know that when you're close to that quarterback, stay below the neck. Don't hurt yourself with foolish penalties like that.
Well, it sets up Kentucky, trailing 19 to 10, 48 seconds to go, third quarter. Number 8, Phillips in motion at the top of your screen. Slick ball handling by Ransdell. And he tried to get the ball down there to 87, Oliver White at the 15, threw it behind him, couldn't complete it, and it'll bring up a second down from the 27-yard line. Ransdell with slick ball handling, and still there comes Wisconsin.
An area that you may attack this Wisconsin defense. Their cornerbacks are very aggressive. On that too-deep zone, they jam in the flat, and they don't get much cushion down the sideline. They're giving their safeties a lot of area to cover. And I'm sure Eisman, before the night's over, going to send those wide receivers down the sideline and the tight end down the middle of the field. I think he's got a chance.
Ransdell with 151 yards in the air. Second down 10 from the 27. Right over the middle. It is incomplete, intended for Tom Weary. He is the backup fullback who came in when Chris Derry went out with a sprained ankle. And it'll be third down 10 from the 27.
As a team, Kentucky has a very short average per completion. And I think at this particular point, Wisconsin is just sitting on the jump. They're no longer getting those 12 to 15-yard drops. They're anticipating the short pattern, and that middle area is beginning to open up.
Now, Kentucky has inserted George Adams and Mark Logan in the backfield. Phillips and Burbage are the receivers. Wheeler, the tight end, on 3rd and 10 from the 27. There's Phillips in motion. And pressure, screens to the left side. That's Logan, gets the good block. Logan, touchdown! yards, Mark Logan. What explosive speed, plus he got a couple of good blocks. I think in their 12th game of the year, you have to say Kentucky's not outmatched. With their 8-3 record coming in here, they're facing up to an excellent Wisconsin team. 1916, going for the point after. Joe Worley, and he nails it. 1917, 26 seconds to go, third quarter.
Now you're going to see number 51, Bob Shurtleff. The only senior in the offensive line, been a leader all year, is going to spring it. See him right there? Here he comes up. That was Richard Johnson. Really couldn't take him on there. But Shurtleff cleared him out. Belford tries to hustle. Might have been out of bounds there.
Very close. Of course, if that ball broke the plane of the goal line while he was in the air on his way out of bounds, it is a touchdown. That's what the signal official was. And as you see, our official, Bill Ransville, signaled it complete. And there he is, Mark Logan. You're looking at the Kentucky backfield of 1985 when you look at Mark Logan and Mark Higgs, and what tremendous running backs they will be. And of course, Coach Jerry Claiborne said he wants to use both of them in the backfield at the same time some next year.
Exactly. And again, you can credit the wide receivers and George Adams for clearing that out for Logan, because they're concerned about those folks as wide receivers. There's Shurtleff. There's Petrowiak throwing. Number 57, Dermonti Dawson got a block downfield. Belford just can't get there in time.
Mark Logan, a sophomore from Lexington, Kentucky. No, it's 1917. Got ourselves a whale of a ball game in the Hall of Fame Bowl. Birmingham, the 8th annual, and here comes Wisconsin out of the end zone. The 23-yard line comes Michael Jones, driven back, but they'll probably give him forward progress to the 23-yard line. So now it's up to Wisconsin. Once again, these Wisconsin Badgers have faced tough football teams all year long, have played hot coming into this game, and Kentucky has fought back, but Wisconsin's got that high-powered offense. We've got Howard and Toon and Pearson and McFadden and Jones and Harrison, and tonight, Joe Armentrout.
Joe is toting the bread tonight, isn't he?
Armentrout's off the side. Matter of fact, he limped off. We'll check to see if Armentrout had been shaken up at all. Single setbacks, Mark Harrison. Here comes Harrison. Boyd's attacking in the backfield. Down he goes. Number 74, Tom Wilkins, who's the third guard for Kentucky, who comes in to spell Thompson or Hare, makes the stop.
I don't know if we can get a picture of the offensive line coach, Ron McBride. He's on the sideline with the Chicago Cubs hat on. He said after Minnesota, things were going so bad, they needed a little good luck. Put on a Cubs hat.
That's the end of the third quarter. This is Turner Network Television. Hall of Fame Bowl, Wisconsin leading by 2, 19-17. It will be Wisconsin ball, second down 4 from the Badgers' 28-yard line. Sophomore quarterback Mike Howard needs to get some points for his Badgers here, leading only by 2 now. They've led all the way. Runs into his tailback, Mark Harrison, for a loss on the play.
Kentucky giving a little bit different look on defense. They had Paul Calhoun setting at about 7 yards with a 2-deep zone. He was ready to support the run.
So it's going to be third down and about 8 now. Third down and 8 from the 24-yard line. An obvious passing situation, Tim. May we see the Kentucky blitz here?
I don't think so. I don't think at this point they want to take that chance, because remember the striking power of this Wisconsin offense. They don't want to give up an 80-yarder here.
And you're right, no blitz, but pressure. It's complete to Taylor. Down he goes at the 27, short of the first down. The Wildcats hold, and boy, that crowd's going crazy. Down to Craig Sager now. So Craig Sager's caught up in the excitement of the crowd down there, cheering on the side. We have a technical problem with our sideline reporter, Craig Sager. We'll be getting back to him. On the fourth down 4, Saticki in to punt for Wisconsin. And they get back. He's going to get it away left-footed. And he's a soccer player, and what a fortunate break that he is. Sapicki, a St. Louis soccer player freshman, was under tremendous pressure from number 24, Gordon Jackson of Kentucky, but he left foots it, and the ball is rolling to the 22-yard line. Oh, my, what a great job by that young man. A 50-yard left-footed punt on the run under pressure, and we'll be right back. Here's freshman punter Scott Sapicki. Watch 24 Gordon Jackson in good pressure. Here's 24 Jackson. Sapicki has to pull it down, and there he goes with his left foot. We mentioned the soccer players. He did get it off, and it was kind of a soccer kick. You just lay it out there and whap it with your foot. It's mainly ankle power that drives that ball. The St. Louis Youth Soccer Program is credited with a 50-yard punt for Scott Sapicki. Here comes Kentucky, number 22 Higgs. Oh, what an exciting run, and out he goes to the 28-yard line. Got to the 28, and they drive him back to the 25. But Higgs is hit and rarely taken down on the first shot. Johnson will get credit for the tackle.
He's just a little rascal. He certainly takes it up there in a determined fashion. Both he and Logan will be back. George Adams will be in the NFL. Jerry Claiborne looks on, has rebuilt a number of programs. Virginia Tech, then again at Maryland. Took a team that was down, then came to Kentucky. Turned them around from 0-10-1. They're at least 8-3 this year.
22 Higgs, 29 Weary in the backfield. They give the Higgs through there. What acceleration out to the 35-yard line. Wisconsin continues to lead 19-17, but the Wildcats have seemed to be able to solve something with Wisconsin here in terms of being able to move the ball. Tim?
Kentucky has been outscored in the first quarter. That's the only quarter they've been outscored in, and that just, I think, displays their character, their ability to come back, the belief in themselves. They think they're going to win, and that certainly is a different attitude than they had a couple of years ago.
First down 10 from the 35-yard line, slot left formation. Here they go with Higgs again. And Higgs rolls it out to the 43-yard line. Craig Radix with the tackle. And let's watch the blocking here, the support that Higgs is getting.
Petrowiak pulling in the hole. It's a nice block on Melka there. And Melka's a tough dude to clear out of the way. Raditz comes over and makes the stop.
And there's Higgs, number 22, a freshman from Owensboro. And Higgs now has 34 yards on the night. And they're going to give it to him again. Run him right, run him left. And he gets the first down. Out to the 47-yard line, Jim Melka with the tackle this time. Clock down to 11:37 in the game. Wisconsin 19, Kentucky 17. And the Wildcat fans, it's been almost 2 games. All Wisconsin in the first half and mostly Kentucky here in the second half.
Something similar to this happened to Wisconsin versus Iowa. I think they scored 10 quick points in that game, and then Iowa rolled back.
Once again, this time they give to the other tailback, George Adams. That's what happens when you have a man like Higgs who can come in there and spell your all-SEC running back George Adams. They take 22 out, bring in 33, and that offensive line opens the same kind of hole for this man.
I know Farrell Sheridan and Jay Callum, the offensive line coaches, have to be proud of their boys right there. You see number 67. It looks like Bruce Bozzik clearing out Sims as he's angling to the inside, opening that hole for Adams.
First down 10, Kentucky. Out of that same formation, slot left, backs in the eye. And they're going to run it until Wisconsin stops it. They stop it this time with the penetration. It looked like 68 Lance Brannaman who made the penetration and the stop at the line of scrimmage there.
Dave McClain has to be a little bit concerned at this point as he pulls down his mic. He decides not to interrupt, not to interfere. Let Dudley think. Sometimes what happens is a head coach starts to get involved at a time like this. He really has to display self-control to let the offensive coordinator handle the flow of the game, the defensive coordinator handle the flow of the game.
Here goes Adams, gets to the 40-yard line, only 2 or 3 that time, and now Scott Burgle with the tackle in Wisconsin seems to be able to stop it for the moment. We're going to pause 10 seconds to allow local stations to identify themselves.
happens sometimes is a head coach gets nervous. He starts asking the defensive coordinator what you have called. Then the defensive coordinator, instead of thinking about what he's going to call next or thinking about how he's working his program, he has to start justifying his calls to the head coach. It's just distracting.
3rd down 8 from the, actually closer to 3rd down 9 from the 41. Play fake. They throw to Adams. Adams to the 34-yard line. He needs to go to the 32 for the first down. So it is short of the first down. Let's see what Kentucky does here. They're bringing on number 15, Joe Worley. The ball at the 35. It'll be a 52-yard field goal attempt by Worley. He has kicked 50-yarders. That's his long of the year.
Watch Richard Johnson on the left of your screen, the cornerback. He's reading inside. He's in the short zone. He sees the ball in the air, and here he comes. Look at that pop, explosion, back up to get into the game, get into the physical part of the game. That's what you like to see if you're a pro scout or pro coach looking for somebody that can help you.
It's a 52-yarder. His longest has been 50. Got a lot of leg into it. It's good. The longest field goal of Joe Worley's career, and Kentucky takes the lead by 1. 8:55 to go in this ball game. Kentucky leads for the first time, 20-19. This is Turner Network Television. This is the longest field goal in Joe Worley's freshman career, young career, and the longest in Hall of Fame Bowl history, 52 yards. And it's 20-19. Kentucky leading Wisconsin. 8:55 to go in the 4th quarter. We've got ourselves a whale of a ball game here in Birmingham at Legion Field. Hope you're enjoying it.
I think you can expect to see the Wisconsin offense come to life here.
Here's Michael Jones. Down he goes at the 18. First man down for the tackle, 38, Steve Mazza. That defensive end, who's also an outstanding player on special teams for Kentucky, representing that wildcat work ethic that Jim talks about so much. And there's the drive, 44 yards, 9 plays in 4:28, 4.5 minutes, and it was almost all done out of a slot left formation with their backs in an eye and the tailback-oriented offense that drove Kentucky down there. Wisconsin finally stopped them, and there's the trophy. Guess which one the big one goes to?
I really didn't feel like Kentucky could run the ball down the field on Wisconsin. I thought Wisconsin was too strong defensively.
Here's Armentrout struggling, getting out here to the 20-yard line. Gain of about 3 tough yards. That ought to put Armentrout up around the 100-yard mark for the night. He has exactly 100 for the new Papa. Best rushing night of his career. He's a junior from Elgin, Illinois.
Just watch Cam Jacobs. He's Mr. Energy on this Kentucky defense. He's all over the place. And he's excited. When you talk to him, he never stands still very long. He can't wait for the game to start so he can expend that energy someplace.
2nd down 7. That's Jones in motion to the top of your screen. Mike Howard, plenty of time. Rifles it downfield, and it's complete to Toon. And look at Toon dance and move. Quick feet. He's 6'5". Good hands. Good work ethic. Excellent athlete, and some pro team's going to like him. 21-yard completion.
They're running the fullback in the flat. They've got Armentrout in the flat. Just too much room given here by the defensive back. As the ball is completed, Maurice Douglas ought to be whacking him. That time he was just a little bit too deep. He's played well all afternoon. That time he gave him too much room. And Toon is a fine receiver. You have to respect his speed, but when you respect it that much, you can't win.
4 catches, 48 yards for Al Toon. 1st and 10, Wisconsin from the 40. Now they're driving on Kentucky. Wildcats lead 20-19. Here's a reverse. It's Michael Jones. Mazza stayed home but missed the tackle, and Michael Jones gets it near the first down, about a 9-yard gain. John Dumbled with a tackle, and that's something Michael Jones brings to the game for Wisconsin. He has 1 touchdown off this formation.
Mazza's a well-disciplined player, stays at home here, but watch this move. Mazza's a good athlete, and he just sits him right down. Jones knows he has to get to the sideline to make it work. I would look to see 3 Wisconsin receivers in the pros next year. I think Jones, McFadden, and Toon will all make it.
2nd down 1. This is a gamble situation for Wisconsin if they care to. Harrison, they elect to just go to get the first down. Harrison slams it up in there and gets it. Penetrates inside was Kentucky territory. Guy Neal and David Thompson. 7 minutes, 10 to go, and look what we've got here. A 1-point game. Kentucky, a 3.5 to 4-point underdog in this game, calls their second of their 3 timeouts. Kentucky will now have 1 timeout remaining.
Dave McClain staying on the move. He's been under a lot of pressure this year. High expectations for the Wisconsin program.
You'll have to excuse me there. The official appeared to be signaling timeout Kentucky. It was not. They still have 2 timeouts remaining. He's signaling first down, 1st and 10 from 48, but he used both arms. A double signal. Here we go, Howard. Incomplete at the 33-yard line. What a battle tune. Getting cut in half there. Mazza was back covering, also 27, Maurice Douglas.
Okay, the man that makes this work for Kentucky is Steve Mazza. This time he's getting a good drop. Look at that. Good undercover help from Maurice Douglas. You don't want to leave him alone out there on Al Toon. He gets back, forces the ball to be thrown high. Can't get it in there. Mazza drifting back, maintaining position on that receiver. Goes up after the ball. Howard almost stuck it in there, though.
That's what Toon does so well, too. Toon at 6'5" is down there on the 5'10", Maurice Douglas. Second down 10 from the 48-yard line of Kentucky. 1-point game, 6:41 remaining. Wisconsin trail. Howard rifles it. 40-yard. Well, now they spot it up here. It's going to be very, very close. That's Brett Pearson with the reception. And Pearson has 5 catches for 55 yards on the night. They may have to bring the sticks in from the far side because it's very close to a first down. Let's look at it again.
Little man-to-man coverage here. Barry Alexander working against Pearson. Pearson, the second leading receiver in '83. I believe he was the second leading receiver this year. They run a lot of those zone patterns where that tight end works his way down across the middle between the linebackers. Tonight he's been running those flats. They felt like against that 3-deep Kentucky defense they could work the flat areas.
The colorful, I call it a chain that looks more like a necklace. They're bringing it across from the far sideline to stretch it out here, bring a little color to the Hall of Fame Bowl. And it's short by inches. You see where it's marked on the red section of the little circular, I don't know what you'll call it, for the chain, but chain doesn't seem to work for it. I'll try to come up with another name for it. The measuring sticks. We have 6:35 to go in the game. Kentucky 20, Wisconsin 19. It will be 3rd down, less than a yard, and the Wisconsin Rooters are on their feet with their cheer. Let's go Red.
Staying with a regular formation, they brought Dave Arneson, I think, in the game at tight end. Sometimes in this particular situation you see 2 tight ends and you put your strongest wide receiver out to the wide side of the field, make somebody cover him, and either knock it up inside the middle, take it weak side, or try to hit it over the top with 3rd and inches.
Critical play both ways. Double tight ends, as Tim pointed out. Backs in the eye, Armand, Trout, and Harrison. 6'4" Mike Howard just lowers his 205 pounds behind center Dan Turk, a pro prospect, and drives it in there for the first down. 6:29 to go. Kentucky leading by 1, 20-19. And now here at the 37, you start getting into field goal range for freshman Todd Gregory, who already has established a Hall of Fame Bowl record for most field goals in a game, 4 so far this evening. Kicker Joe Worley for Kentucky has 2. And the 25-second clock elapsed. And that's going to be a 5-yard penalty.
It's the 3rd time, and I think what happened, he sensed a blitz, and as Bill Dudley talked about, there are some blitzes you cannot pick up from that one-man set, at least in the Wisconsin scheme. And I think he was trying to get out of what he was in and got too much time.
Play of the game, offense, repeat first down.
12 penalties for Wisconsin for 118 yards. That'll give you an idea for perspective. Wisconsin's passed for 176, so it's been devastating.
Kentucky has to move a lot on defense. They're not big enough to just stand in there and go toe-to-toe. They've got to disguise. They got to move around. They got to hit and work.
1st and 15 from near the 42-yard line. Here's Howard. under some pressure, looking and throwing, and complete at the 35-yard line. And oh my, what a hit. Joe Armentrout caught the ball, however. Whew. Gain of about 6 tough yards for Joe Armentrout. Gets cut into it.
Little misdirection play action. You see Armentrout sneaking out through the middle of the line. They're looking for Toon, who ran an O-cut down on the sideline. You can see him there. Dumps it off to Armentrout. He draws a crowd.
2nd down 9 from the 35 now. They send McFadden and Toon to the left side. Mike Jones to the right side. No tight end in there. They hand the ball to Armentrout, who runs it up the middle. Darts and dashes his way to the 31-yard line, where Guy Neal, number 88, makes the stop for the Wildcats. Clock down to 4:57 and continues to count. Wisconsin has 3 timeouts remaining. Kentucky has 2. The score is Wildcats 20, Badgers 19.
You see Jerry Claiborne, Kodak District 2 Coach of the Year this year. That means he's in the competition for the Kodak Coach of the Year.
There it is. We've got a beautiful ball game on our hand. About 50,000 people here at Legion Field tonight. By the way, while we have just a moment, our special thanks to some folks from Wisconsin: Chancellor Irving Shane, Athletic Director Elroy Hirsch, Head Coach Dave McLean, and the assistants that Tim and I spent a lot of time with were just wonderful. We've mentioned them during the ball game. And the sports information directors, Jim Mott and Bob Lou from Wisconsin. It's done a wonderful job helping us out with this telecast. 3rd down 4. Big play, Wisconsin. Howard under pressure. Has time to throw. It is complete to the 12-yard line to Mike Jones. 1st down. Calhoun covering on the play. And here come the Badgers, an 18-yard completion.
Mike Jones does an excellent job of maintaining his composure. A little play fake blitz by Kentucky. Jacobs blitzed up the middle. He bought himself some extra time, just slipped his way out. Calhoun makes the stop, but that was just simply a matter of too much time to throw the football. And a great job by Mike Jones of working away in the scramble situation.
It's a handoff to 31, Brian Bonner, and Bonner spins down after a gain of a yard or so. I think they'll give him a yard or so forward progress. Steve Mazza will get credit for the tackle, and we're down to 3:54 and counting. Kentucky 20, Wisconsin 19. Wisconsin definitely in field goal range. Wisconsin led all the way, but the Wildcats stormed back here in the 2nd half to take the lead on the longest field goal of the career of young freshman Joe Worley, a 52-yarder. Dave McLean looking on as his Badgers, who have been undefeated in their final 5 games of the Big Ten season, are playing for pride against the SEC. Howard. It is ruled complete at the 9-yard line, but a gain of only about 4. Brian Bonner with the reception. It will be 3rd down now. This is tough territory. 3rd and 7 from the 9.
We talked about inside the 20, trying to work this short area to the outside. You see they're trying to stretch the defense. They've got, you can see the feet of the split end back behind Bonner, who makes the catch.
Do you think Jerry Claiborne is playing this bowl game for fun, folks? He is into it. So is his team. 3rd and 7 from the 9, Wisconsin. Howard, pressure. Down he goes at the 9. Kentucky just came firing up the middle. Howard tried to buy some time, had receivers in the end zone, Toon and Jones, but couldn't get it to him.
Another fine job of coverage by Gordon Jackson, Maurice Douglas, and Paul Calhoun in man-to-man coverage here. Mike Howard is flushed out of the pocket. Kentucky swarms it.
So here comes the field goal. If successful, will give Wisconsin the lead with 2:19, 2:18, and time running down. Their kicker is Todd Gregory. He has 4 on the night, a 25-yard attempt. Cobbs at a hold. It's a fake. Cobbs is a backup quarterback. He's scrambling and looking under pressure. Good coverage by Kentucky into the end zone. It's picked off by Mazza. Oh, what a wild football game we have. May have been a fumbled snap. We're not sure. Kobza is the 3rd-team quarterback, the holder. Let's see if it's a fake or a fumble snap. Definite fake.
I think it was a fake. I'm not sure that it was a fake, Bob. I think the receivers were a little late coming off the ball. It's awfully hard to tell.
You may be right, Tim. We'll take a look at it again when we come back. He pulled it in rather quickly and jumped up the throw. At any rate, Kentucky's ball will be right back. Tim, I think you're right. Let's watch and see.
Looks like Cobbs had fumbled the ball there, and then Gobb tried to make the most he could out of it. He started screaming, finally got some receivers downfield. It's unfortunate that people take the snapper on a field goal and the holder for granted unless something goes wrong, and that's when they draw attention to themselves. Mazza makes a nice catch in the end zone.
A chip shot field goal attempt goes awry. The ball was snapped rather well, I think. I believe it just slipped out of the hands of Kobza. Here's George Adams. Now Kentucky's going to try to just run out this clock. But remember, they got to get a first down, and Kentucky gets about 2 or 3 yards, and Wisconsin calls timeout now. Wisconsin had all 3 timeouts remaining. Minute 55 to go in the game. So this game is far from over. 2 timeouts remain for Wisconsin now. It'll be second down and about 5 for Kentucky. This is Turner Network Television. There's Dave McClain, disappointed head coach of Wisconsin. A minute 55 to go in the game. Kentucky 20, Wisconsin 19. It says it all on the look on Dave's face. It'll be second down 5 Kentucky now from the 25. Both teams have 2 timeouts remaining. This is the formation Kentucky likes. They give it to that tailback George Adams. Hit in the backfield. And now let's go to Craig Sager's sideline.
Well, the Kentucky defense on the sidelines waiting. Steve Mazza, what a great play. What happened?
Oh, thank you. Well, they pulled a fake on us, and fortunately that, you know, we were in the right place at the right time, and that's just the way it was. And, you know, that's just, you know, we had to come up with big plays. They've been driving the ball up and down the field. We've been missing tackles. Myself, we just got to, you know, we've been missing tackles, and we needed a big play like that, and I just, you know, amen, that it happened.
Did you read the fake right away?
Well, yeah, I felt it right away. My job is to guard the fake on the backside, and we rush on the other side. So it wasn't that tough for me to be there in the right place.
Right place at the right time. Steve Mazza. Back to Bob and Tim.
Thank you, Craig Sager. Steve Mazza agreed with me that it was a fake. Although when we looked at the replay, Tim, it did look like a fumble, but I'm going to go with Steve. It was a fake. And Steve read it very well. And there's Dave McClain. I don't think Dave cares whether it was a fake or a fumble. And seriously, on that note, it looked pretty clearly to us as though the ball had slipped out of the hands of the holder, Kobza. At any rate, a minute 48 to go. 20-19. Both teams are in a critical third down situation here. Critical for Wisconsin because they have only 1 timeout left, and Kentucky's got to get the first down, or else Wisconsin can come right back down and have that opportunity again. So that's a big one, Tim.
Yes, it is. Dave McClain checking with Jim Hillis, the defensive coordinator, seeing what he has on. He's also asking how many timeouts he's got left. Now, the question here is, Bob, what do you think? Will Kentucky risk putting the ball in the air, or will they just run it up the middle to Adams? Will they run a reverse? Will they do something cute, or will they take the conservative way out?
I predict pass. I've been wrong all year. There you go. Go the opposite way on my predictions. George Adams, although, because Wisconsin stopped him, Craig Radix with his 10th tackle, by the way, out of the linebacker spot. There's the story of the game now. Kentucky 2 timeouts, Wisconsin only 1. Kentucky has to give up the ball. Now they have a great punter in Paul Calhoun. Let's see what he can do when we return. Here's Paul Calhoun, who will be punting from inside his 15-yard line. He'll be standing on about the 12. He's averaging only 37.5 yards a punt tonight, and there's that great punt returner.
There's the great punt returner, and remember this, Richard Johnson has blocked 6 kicks this year. They work awfully hard on this, putting pressure. Don't you know that Paul Calhoun is thinking about getting it off in a hurry?
There they come, and he got a wobbly punt. I think they got a piece of it, but it gets a Kentucky bounce. They got a piece of the ball. There's no penalty marker down. One of the players from Wisconsin is down. Excuse me, I don't see it on the field, but there is a penalty marker down. It looked like they got a piece of the ball, but apparently not. And if that's the case, it'll be first down. Now, let's hold on for a second. They have an opportunity to call roughing or running. If it's running into the punter, it'll be only 5 yards. It won't be a first down. If it is roughing, it'll be a first down. They're calling roughing.
Calling roughing?
They are calling roughing, which is a 15-yard penalty. It is an automatic first down and comes out to the 39-yard line.
I don't know. I'm not a referee, but I wouldn't have called roughing.
Roughing the kicker against the defense. Automatic first down.
133 yards in penalties against Wisconsin tonight. Let's watch again and see.
Now, he hits him. Watch this. The ball is gone. The ball is away. Now, I wouldn't call roughing there personally, and I'm going to tell you why. He was blocked into the punter. He was coming, and he probably wouldn't have hit him. He would have hit him anyway if he wasn't blocked. But still, his trajectory of his leap was changed. He was blocked into the punter. And knowing that, I think you can only give 5 yards, especially Paul Calhoun. You got to credit him with a great job of falling to the turf.
Now Wisconsin with no timeouts remaining. 25-second clock continues to run with only a minute 24 to go. So it's all Kentucky now if they don't turn the ball over.
Well, I know that's painful for Dave McClain. Jerry Claiborne just keeping his fingers crossed.
Minute 11, minute 10. It was in this ball game last year that Kentucky lost 20-16. They were attempting to complete a pass from Bill Ransdell, who came in the fourth quarter to bring Kentucky storming back with just about a minute and a half left and almost pulled it out over West Virginia. There's the young man who's feeling pretty badly right now, the holder, Bob Kobza, who either bobbled, and we think he did bobble the hold, and as you can look there, you can tell he did, because had it been a fake, I doubt he'd been feeling like that.
Well, I know that
they move it back to the 30 after the 25-second clock ticks down. 43 seconds to go in this game, and Kentucky will simply have to do this 1 or 2 more times, and this game will end. SMU has defeated Notre Dame in the Aloha Bowl 27-20.
And I know that the network's affiliates around the country that have carried this have been happy. I know the ABC affiliate in Miami, the president down there is Bill Ryan, and watching this game with a certain degree of interest.
Terry Strzok, the defensive coordinator for Kentucky, just came in and tapped me on the arm and said, "Good job." I think he was talking about his team, and look at the look on the face of Dave McClain. You saw the contrast. Claiborne with a smile, and Dave McClain very disturbed because he felt he could beat Kentucky in this game.
One of the reasons obviously you come to win to a bowl game. That's the idea, but it should be a reward for the teams. Both these teams had a great time here, and they gave these folks a show. I know the Badger fans have to be proud of the effort put forth by the Wisconsin football team, and those Kentucky fans and players have a real love affair going, and I know they're excited right now.
And there goes Jerry Claiborne. Get a little display of emotion from the very quiet coach. We'll be back with final comments from an exciting Hall of Fame Bowl. Kentucky 20, Wisconsin 19.
This Bud's for everyone who keeps things rolling on the mighty Mississippi.
The Kentucky team has run down in front of their loyal fans to give them a round of applause. This goes back to 3 years ago when Kentucky was 0-10-1, and the fans in Lexington stayed to applaud the winless team. And this team, now that they've achieved this respectability and prominence, has returned the thanks to the stalwart and loyal Kentucky fans. And that's what's happening there. And let's go down to the sideline now to Craig Sager, who's talking to the man who has rebuilt this Kentucky Wildcat program, Jerry Claiborne.
Thank you, Bob. And I think Jerry Claiborne wanted to go over and congratulate those fans as well.
I tell you, man, I'm so excited here right now. We're going to talk to our players and talk to those fans, too. It was a tremendous victory and a great comeback by our players. I tell you, they've been doing it all year. And that field goal for Worley is just was frosting on the cake. The goal line stand, again, with a great play. They go down there and we get a big break on a roughing the kicker penalty, run the clock out. A great victory for our program.
Tim Foley kept saying all game, Jerry Claiborne came to win this game. Why is it so important to win?
Well, it's so important because we're trying to get our program, we're trying to get a winning tradition going in our program. And we're going out and recruit this week. And we're going out there with a victory over the Big Ten, the best team in the Big Ten as far as I'm concerned. We're 9-3, we're a bowl champion. And we're going to be in the top 20, I think. It's just a great thrill.
Winless just a few years ago, you've come a long way. Is the program rebuilt?
Well, it's not rebuilt, but we're improving.
Jerry Claiborne, after tonight's victory, 20-19, back up to Bob and Tim.
Thank you, Craig Sager. Earlier, we thanked the folks from Wisconsin for their help, and we'd also just like to say for Kentucky, we'd like to thank President Dr. Otis Singletary, Athletic Director Clifford Hagan, Head Coach Jerry Claiborne, and Sports Information Director Russell Rice, along with all the assistant coaches who helped us so much that Tim mentioned during the ball game. Congratulations to Kentucky, but also congratulations to Wisconsin, undefeated in their final Big Ten games, the last 5 of the year, and a great performance here tonight in Birmingham. This is Turner Network Television.